Are you getting yourself ready for our show?
Alrighty, everybody, Jigs and Bigs. It is Tuesday officially, guys, and what a week. What a freaking week. It's been a little interesting. It ended on an amazing note, FYI. We have a great show for you guys this week. We have Jeremy Seabolt, who is representing the Seabolt Squad, a Kansas City-based family of anglers going out and making this happen. They're putting content out on TikTok, and they're getting into some other formats as well. We're going to talk fishing with your family, and how to get your young ones interested the best way possible. Great interview coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. It was Camp Hookset weekend. You're not going to want to miss that whatsoever, because there was tons and tons of debauchery. I may have actually even needed some therapy after this one. This is a little ridiculous here. Sean the Fisherman but put the hammer down with the drop shot today. Holy jeez, a giant pickerel. We're going to get all the details on that. We got Who the Fuck is Joe Brown in the house with us. He was at Camp Hookset as well. And we got so much good stuff to talk about, guys. And we have a wild FTG this week that I can't even actually believe happened. You're not going to want to miss this, guys. We got so much good stuff coming up this show for you to enjoy this week. Jigs and Bigs. It's Tuesday. Get an icy cold beverage to enjoy as you take in this podcast goodness. We'll see you guys in just a bit. Don't go too far. A very, very wise man once said, "Party time." And he was right. He was right.
Oh, party time.
Indeed. Gentlemen, how are we this Sunday, recording Sunday, as we prepare for this episode that's going to drop on Tuesday with all the goodness? How's everybody been?
I am fantastic, my friend. Fantastic.
Yeah. You had a great Sunday.
I did. I had a really great. I had a fantastic Sunday. I'm psyched, man. I'm psyched. It's taken a little while, but this is the way fishing should feel.
For sure. I agree. I couldn't agree more, man. And it's funny because Joe and I, we recorded an interview together, which, by the way, Joe, that was your first interview with me? Yeah. Excellent job. Fantastic job. Like, when I was like, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to ask, you were right there with like really solid questions, and it was awesome. Great job, man. That was, of course, with Joe Cotier, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks because we have this giant library of interviews that we're getting through right now. We got Jeremy Seabolt from the Seabolt Squad today. What a great guy. He's got a little bit of a background in tournament bass fishing, and he's got this family that is so unbelievably supportive, and an 8-year-old son, Brantley, who is kind of like, he's the star of the show. Sorry, Jeremy, I hate to say it, but Brantley's the star of the show. Check out their stuff on TikTok. All that information's in the interview, guys. You're not going to want to miss. Actually, I'm going to list it in the show notes as well for you. Just an amazing week. Do we have any kind of announcements going on? I mean, things are happening. It's been really busy. We're working on, again, trying to tie up some details for this 200th episode celebration that's going on in January on the 13th in Chicopee, Massachusetts. So if you want to celebrate with us and raise some money for Veterans Inc. by doing by partying and eating amazing foods, because this is going to be a game dinner. That's the plan. You should be part of it. Details will be coming soon. You don't want to miss out anybody. Camp Hookset was this past weekend, and I've had the itch to do some camping recently, but all summer long I've been like, I'm not really feeling camping, sleeping in my truck in the heat. I'm really not feeling it. So this past weekend, the weather was like beautiful, and it was amazing. I'll give you all the details there. Sean, why don't you go ahead and dive into your week as far as how your fishing excursions go and everything that related as well.
Yeah, we're going to start with me because I did not make the trip out to Camp Hookset.
Yep.
Fortunately enough, this past week, my youngest son got a job. So now on the weekends, both my kids are working. So I am not only shuttling them around on the weekdays, the weekends I am also shuttling them around, which I am fucking fine with. They've got, they're getting one of them's almost got his driver's license. The other one's going to start the process over the next year. We're good to go here in my house. We are maturing as a family. It's
nice.
Good shit. But that meant that this week I had some orders come in, some parts for the new kayaks, some tackle, and in particular, something that I actually waited a little while longer than I thought I was going to wait for. I bought a new tackle bag due to the drenching that my tackle received up in Maine. And I actually ended up losing quite a few things because I didn't expect some things to be waterproof, but I did have some I had some leakage, Bobby. I had some leakage.
It happens at our age.
We're getting older. We have some leakage, and I ended up having to dry out a couple hundred hooks. I lost a number of plastics. It got waterlogged. It just sucks. So I was looking for a different solution, and I found one. At least I believed I did. We're going to be reviewing it down the road. There's more news on that, but I did get a tackle bag by a company called Busby. I actually saw the article on Wired to Fish a couple weeks ago and said, well, this looks like something that I could use. It came in the mail. It actually had its maiden voyage today, and more reviews to come on that. But that was one thing. I had to reorganize all my plastics. With the boats, I had to do a little. How do I put this? I had to make a piece. I had to come up with something. I had to fabricate a, almost like a shelf. Now these Native Ultimates have a pontoon style hull, even though they're a canoe kayak hybrid. The center of the hull is higher than the outside. So it's a pontoon style. And when you have that, if you want to make a shelf of some sort, usually people will take pool noodles, cut them up, and they'll ride the pontoons on the inside, and then you can shelf something off. So I went to my local home depot and picked up egg carton louver, which is that white grid plastic shit that you put up on your ceiling lights. I grabbed some of that, cut it down, zip tied it, got that going, and it acts as a shelf perfectly to keep my tackle boxes under my seat where there's a ton of room, yet off of the pontoons, because if there's going to get water in the boat, or if water gets in the boat, it's going to be there. So I made that, reorganized my tackle. I'm still very lucky. I haven't had to change any line out recently. I'm really,
nice.
I'm lucky with that. So I just went through all my stuff, and then I got a couple of parts in that I needed for the kayaks, and I'm rolling on that. So these two new Native Ultimate FX13 propels, I'm sure I fucked that order up. They are rocking and rolling, and I took mine out today. I dropped son number 2 off at his new job, and said to the wife, hey, I know he's got to work till 2:00 or whatever. I'm gonna roll out to the Berkshires. I'm gonna head up to Shears, and I am in the Jigs and Bigs tournament for this month.
Oh yeah.
So I said, well, I need a trout, I need a perch, I need a crappie. We still have an NE5, so anything I could dump into there. And I headed out to a lake that at this point in the year has become renowned for our multi-species hauls there.
Yep.
And I went out there, and I think a bit of perspective is in order. At the beginning of the year, we had the NAR, me rigged up with it, ready to go out and fish all these tournaments, these big tournaments.
Yep.
And at what point did things change where I'm now saying I was incredibly happy to be drop shotting rainbow trout up from 25 feet of water in a rec lake in a Native Ultimate Propel FX13? Like, where did this happen?
2023
like, what dimension?
is just a year of transitions, apparently, and I
guess so.
That's wild.
So, yeah, I did a lot of drop shotting today. The conditions were clear.
Yep.
Light wind, a lot of wreck boats out there, and it sail super. The conditions called for finesse. I went with a drop shot. Drop shot and net have both worked at this place, along with small jerk baits. And I just really did one lap around the lake. Hit that perch early, very happy with myself. And I had a backup plan too. There's a lake nearby with pike in it. And I said, well, maybe I'll go there if I need to. I had 5 hours. And I hit the perch, And then it was just bluegill after bluegill after bluegill, 20 feet of water drop shotting, just bluegill, 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 which I thought was funny. I didn't really need them. It's after maybe the first 5 or 6 got annoying.
They do get annoying. More on that
hit
later.
Another perch. Exactly. Hit another perch. Hit a couple of good sized pickerel, a couple of 20 inchers, a 21 and change and a 22 and change. Hit another perch. And then I got those 2 rainbow trout, which I thought was hilarious because that was kind of a bonus point. I wasn't really expecting to catch trout. But the kicker, I had just called my wife and said, look, I'm actually having a decent bite here. There, it's different species, but I'm having fun with it. I said, do you mind picking up our son? She said, no problem. I said, I'll be home later for a reason. I'll get home quick. I'll tell you why in a second.
Yep.
But I went back to drop shotting and there was a ledge going from 15 feet to 25. I mean, quick. And I dropped that drop shot down there and I'm using 8-pound. I only use 8-pound fluoro for drop shotting and netting. I don't have it as a leader, just straight on the spool. Well, minus some backer.
Yeah.
But the backer doesn't come out. I'm using fluorocarbon only.
Yeah.
And I got absolutely smoked. I believe the term might even be shitholed.
Shitholed indeed.
And this thing pulled, and I thought it was a bass at first. I'm like, this is one hell of a bass. What it ended up being was my personal best, which, man, these New England PBs are hard to come by because I feel I've kind of maxed out a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
I got a 26 and a quarter inch chain pickerel. I'm guessing it went probably around 5, because it was fat, 5 to 6 pounds. This was an enormous chain pickerel.
Yeah. And
I got it in the boat. It did, of course, when I got the net under it, another 5 seconds and that line snapped. So again, Seaguar and Vizex, 8-pound test, a chain pickerel that fought for probably 3-4 minutes, chewed the line up. This was not a nice, neat corner hook. That hook was in its tongue.
Yeah. And
it chewed the line up. An 8-pound Invisex hauled that beast up from 25 feet down.
Sheesh.
There was a couple on the dock nearby. I had actually seen them because of the storms in the air. They were bailing water with a bucket out of their sailboat. Mm-hmm. And I had, before I hooked into the pickerel, I had pulled up and said, I have a pump. Do you want to use it? And they're like, yeah, we're almost done. Should have got here a half hour ago. I'm like, well, I didn't see you. There was a large number of sailboats in the vicinity. I couldn't see what they were doing. And I actually yelled back to them and said, hey, do you mind if I use your dock? I got a big toothy bastard here that I do not want to fuck around with in my boat. And so thank you to Matt and Hannah out there at the lake.
Awesome.
They let me use their dock. And unfortunately, they got to see what happened next, which was I took my picture for the tournament. Hannah, who's apparently a photographer, I lent her my phone. I got a very nice candid shot. Bobby, did you finally see that?
I did, yeah. What a giant.
Giant pickerel.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, between the stress of me fighting it for that long and the depth it was at, and I tried. I straightened out a 5/0 hook. I tried to puncture its bladder. I don't think it survived. It was still floating when I left. I mean, I punctured it the best I could. I fizzed it. Again, I've only done this successfully once, so I'm not an expert at this, but I tried. I figured that was the issue. But I think, I hate when that happens. Look, I preach it. I practice it.
Yeah.
I try to only kill things that I'm going to eat. I'm not a, throw a pickerel up on the bank person, because that's bullshit. That's sadistic. Like, okay, what's the next step? Serial killer? You know what I mean? So I was really unhappy with it. And I actually even considered keeping it and bringing it home and getting it mounted, because if it was going to die anyways,
why not?
But now there were bald eagles around. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I caught my fucking personal best pickerel. I think the tops one that I caught in 2019 or 2020. I think it was 2020. And massive pickerel. Metal Jones is asking, they're extremely bony, not easy to cook. They eat a lot of fish, so I don't know what their mercury levels are, and I'm not looking to
that size pickerel would be
that's
a lot. But
I'm guessing that was a 10-year-old pickerel minimum.
I'll tell you, further up north in Canada, pickerel's a regular thing.
Yeah, and pike too. They'll eat both.
Yep, but, absolutely. And once you learn how to fillet around that Y bone, you're good. But it's a process.
Dude, I couldn't even fizz the fucking thing today. I'm miles away from the Y bone filleting.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it was disappointing that fish didn't live, but nature will take care of it. And that was a hell of a fish. That was one hell. That's when I stopped. I'm like, all right, I can't top this. I went home, but my youngest has been getting more and more into fishing, and he wanted to go to Cabela's with one of his friends today. So
that's awesome.
I got home. I was completely soaked, unfortunately, on their dock when I was doing everything I could to keep that pickerel alive. I mean, I probably spent 20 minutes between the fizzing and the, mouth to mouth and all that shit, CPR.
I was just going to fucking say that.
Yeah. Stitches. I gave myself stitches. It's all good. There was some water on the deck underneath a tarp of some sort, and I got completely I was soaked as if I had gone in the water.
Oh yeah.
So, I did everything I could. It sucks, but then we went down to Cabela's. My youngest was looking for stuff. I picked up a couple things I needed and shot back up here, and here we are recording. So that was my week. Really getting those 2 boats online, number one, and getting out to get some points up on the board for Jigs and Bigs. I moved into first with this, and I think I took over the tiebreaker as well, which is just excellent. So I think we'll go over it later, but I believe I'm in first after today. Again, with we got to judge this stuff.
For sure.
But excellent day on the water. Very excited. Good week, even though I didn't fish. I was very busy, but I did get to keep these projects going of these 2 boats, which man, I can't say enough about these boats. I mean, they're not in production anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame. It's a shame, but maybe this will be the campaign for them to bring them back into production and look at, that quality.
I would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
You never know, man. The demand were there.
Yeah, but I mean, the native ultimates are kind of a niche boat anyways.
Yeah.
And then this is a pricier one of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we can wish, we can hope.
Yep.
But excellent end to a busy week, I guess.
That's awesome.
So what the fuck happened to you 2 clowns over there at the Camp Hookset?
Well, you know what? Before we jump into that, I think we need to hear from Dark Horse Tackle about some timely stuff that's happening over at their website right now. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this before we dive into our week's show. So I got a message today from Zach. He said a couple of notes for us to talk about. First off, that they're having a sale on the BYOB boxes. It's $20 for a month. So you have an entire month to go and build your own box. There's going to be 2 more tier configurations of the BYOB. Basically, there's 3 different ways that you can build your BYOB now. One is more designed toward hard baits. One is more designed toward jigs and plastics. And one that just sits in the middle is I guess actually that middle one would kind of be like where it is now, where it's a mix. Which is pretty cool. They also are having gift cards available for sale on the site, which is awesome because as far as the gift cards are concerned, let's say you're listening to this show and you have somebody in your life maybe your spouse, maybe a sibling or a cousin or your parents. And they're like, I never know what to get you. What should I get you? Well, now you can get them Dark Horse Tackle gift card and they can build their own box, all kinds of stuff. Really, really cool stuff from Dark Horse Tackle. So let's just jump in. It's over there at darkhorsetackle.com. Check that out now. Zach, I know you're in the chat. If you have anything, if I missed anything, pop it in there and we'll make sure to tag that back in there. Joe, do you want me to go first or you want to go first?
I can go first.
Go for it.
since you spent the 2 days there.
Oh yeah.
So outside of Hoodlum Fest, I mean this week was all prepping for me. Yeah, I've been getting ready for Hartwell. Made some purchases. Josh Codier that we talked to last night, he's been a bad influence, getting me to spend way more money than I should.
Yep.
Yeah, so I know I mentioned it. I bought the right height turret that moves my live scope independently from the rest of my unit. I purchased that. That came in. I'm going to get that put on next week. I also purchased a new scale. It's the new Bubba scale.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's makes culling and whatnot way easier. It's all Bluetooth and everything.
That's
Josh
awesome.
had showed it. Yeah, Josh had showed it to me. I was like, I'm gonna need that. Yeah, so I did that, and it's just been a lot of studying Hartwell as much as I can from Massachusetts, and then just going through all my shit to see what I need to purchase, what I need to restock on and whatnot. That's kind of how my week's been up until Hoodlum Fest or Camp Hookset. I also, Zach will like hearing this. I actually got a creek box. Got a creek box from Dark Horse Tackle finally. Finally got the creek box. Haven't even had the chance to really go through it yet, but yeah, so I'm excited for that. So Zach will be happy.
Made it happen in Connecticut of all places.
Yeah. So Camp Hookset. Let me talk that real quick. So I had to do the obligatory gymnastics yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Had to bring Emma to gymnastics and finding a sitter because Meg really wanted to go. So we did that. We got down there, what, Bobby, like 11:30, 12 o'clock?
Yeah, it was right around that
time
or
so. Yeah. So we get down there. I take a look at the launch. At first, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the boat in here. It was narrow, and it's not a boat ramp. It's just kind of
tire tracks that go into the, that's all it is.
That's it.
There is a public launch.
Yeah. But I want to kick it with you guys, and Ken's dad's like, nah, you got this. So I'm like, yeah, you're right, I got this. And it just all depended on how soft it was and and sinking. But I got the boat in, no problem. Just had to get 4-wheel drive to pull out. That was no issue. So we get out there. We came and said, what's up with you guys? And then we dropped immediately. And Meg and I headed out. And it was fucking windy.
Fucking A, it was.
Fucking windy.
It was crazy.
Hurricane Lee was like showing her face out there. I mean, it was crazy because, from the shore, I'm looking out there. I'm like, oh, that don't even look that bad. And I finally get out there and I'm like, oh my God, this is big. Like Meg's never been on the boat in chop like that. So even she's like, Jesus, she's all bundled, shit all on. So I try to hit. I looked at my Navionics. I was like, I never been to this place before. I never even looked at it until friggin' yesterday. And I'm like, all right, so let's see if we can make something happen here. I wasn't in the contest or anything, but I wanted to catch some fish, throw it on the chat, and brag because I know everyone had been having a tough day. So I'm in by that island, and I'm spotting fish. I was marking a ton of fish on live scope, all schooled up. Could have been, perch, crappie. Could have been. There's a ton of walleye in there, I guess, but whatever they were, they wouldn't hit anything I threw at them. So I'm looking at the direction of the wind and everything. I'm like, all right, let me try to get out of the wind a little bit. I went, I don't even know what direction. We'll just say north. So I went up there, kind of where the wind was coming. So the trees blocked it. And once I got up there, I just was one fish after another. It was, smaller fish, maybe, very small. Probably like 12 to 15 inches. Yep. Maybe I caught one that was maybe like 16, 17. But they're pretty consistent. They're sitting in the weed edges that I found in there, and it was pretty consistent. I was mostly using a Nico rig. I got a couple on a hover rig. I did do that. Yeah. That was the first time I had really thrown the hover rig and caught fish on it, so that was cool. Yeah, so I did that. I it was like 6 to 8 feet of water. I kept catching them in. Saw Andrew come out, tried to cut me off. Mm-hmm. Yelled at him a little bit. So yeah, I stopped. Probably I started hitting him, and I was like, "Fuck, I gotta go record with Bobby." So I caught one more, and it ended up being a pickerel. And so I was like, "All right, we'll end on that. Head back in, and you and I record." We had a good time, Bobby and I, with the Jigs and Bigs studio in the front of the 4Runner.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty dope. It was pretty badass. Everyone, around us, I had Meg handing me drinks through the window. It was awesome. So yeah, Bobby and I recorded, and then we played a bunch of cornhole, ate a bunch of food, drank a bunch of cocktails, and watched Bill suck at cornhole.
And like also analyze the hell out of Ken's form during cornhole.
Oh my god, that was so fucking funny.
When Bill made the comparison of him being a newborn giraffe, it was the funniest fucking thing I had heard all night. And yes, it was post Jigglers, but still.
Yeah, but he's so good. The crazy part is he's so good at cornhole.
Yeah.
But his form, it looks like he's going to fall over every time he throws it.
You worry about him a little bit, but yeah, he's a hammer. Maybe that's the thing.
It's absolutely insane. And so oh god, that was funny. I totally forgot about that.
No, we're saying he's a hammer. I'll guarantee within the next 20 minutes, Wild Bill is going to be on our inboxes going like, were you guys even watching?
Yeah, you're right. And the best part was like when Bill was like really starting to chirp, and then I started to get in on it, and then even Meg started to throw shit out.
It was so good.
It started to affect Ken. He's like, all of a sudden he's not even hitting the board, and I mean, I was like, oh, keep it up, because we were playing them. But we played a shit ton of cornhole and just laugh until our freaking faces hurt. It was a good time. It was awesome.
It was a blast, man. It was really good. Now my week was a little bit different. I decided, most of this week was just insanity. There was prep for the wedding so Monday, my plan was to fish a little bit on Monday. Was not able to make that happen. Even on Tuesday, some of my workload carried over until Tuesday, which kind of sucked because Tuesday was my birthday and I was really hoping to get out on the water. But I'll tell you what, man, this school year running my daughter to school, to the bus, and then having to coordinate with my oldest daughter, like pick up and everything like that. I just I haven't gotten a good grasp of that schedule yet because I kind of got spoiled this summer being able to go out for such a good chunk of the day. Now I've really got to kind of hone those trips out to like 2 or 3 hours, with whatever in between, because it's a crazy tight schedule. So I didn't get out until Friday. I saw a window of time, and I was like, I got a bunch of running around I have to do on Friday, picking up some stuff that I wanted to have for Camp Hookset. And I had taken run a bunch of errands and actually made really, really good time. And then right about lunchtime, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and give it a little bank send. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to throw around those Giltech finesse jigs that, yes, Zach, they were in the box. Absolutely in the box. In fact, Joe needed my Leatherman to open the seal on that box right there. I considered going through and seeing if he had any good colors of anything that I wanted to swap out, but I didn't because I'm not that much of a degenerate. That's a good color right there. But I bought 4 or 5 of those, so I mean, you're good. Hang on. Zach also chimes in and says, Bobby, I see you playing with a beard, and I'm experiencing both jealousy and extreme feelings of loss. I understand. I was there back in October of 2020. We had a conversation about that today. I'll get to that. So anyway, I decided to go a little banks end. Nothing big. I always have every rod in my truck at all times. They live there, all year long. And I just had gone and grabbed this one spinning combo that I had a Giltech finesse jig on with a curly tail grub, a little 4-inch black curly tail grub. And because I'm out of those Riot tantrums and I have to order some more. So I might be building a box, or I might just go to Riot directly. So I had maybe fished for about an hour and a half. And I think I caught 7 or 8, all largemouth. All just absolutely crushing the jig. So I was feeling good. I was feeling really good about what was about to go down in Connecticut for Camp Hookset. I then had finished up my errands and everything. I had to work that night, so I had a carload full of production gear for my job. And late at that night, after trivia, I had headed over to my storage unit, swapped everything out for my camping gear, got everything all set, came home, slept for about 4 hours, 5 hours, got up, and then made the trek to Camp Hookset bright and early. Now, I rolled in onto the site at like 10 of 7, something like that. It's pretty early. And I go in, and Tito was there already. Jimmy and Steve were there already. Ken was, rolling around on the golf cart as you do, when you're running things. I'm a little surprised it wasn't a Segway, but I'm not, it's golf cart, it's good. So he's out doing his thing, and I set the boats up and get everything rigged, then start getting camp together, and then just launch. And the wind, when I first had left, it was rough, but it was about to get rougher. As the day went on, it seemed like it got worse and worse and worse until, really, honestly, Joe, I think it was the absolute worst when you and Meg were on the water. I think you saw the worst of it.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was definitely bad, and
yeah.
I mean, I've been in worse, but for her, I was glad she finally got to experience that. But yeah, it was crazy. It got pretty calm right around 3:34. It started to get pretty it
started to drop off. Yeah, it was that like 1 or 2 to 3 o'clock window that was like horrendous.
Yeah. Yep. And
white
then,
caps.
It was. Yeah, once the white caps chilled, I was pretty happy.
Yeah,
but,
it was nuts.
Because I'm even with white caps being on the front of the on the trolling motor. Yep. I mean, I was even getting wet. So.
Oh yeah. So yeah. I was my take on this was like, with Camp Hookset, there was a competition with some great awards, which I took one home. If you check the Instagram story, you'll see it. So I'm glad that happened. Now, my main focus was really just to relax. This was like my weekend away, to celebrate my birthday. That's kind of what it was. So I had a full intention of really focusing on catching as many different species as possible. And it's funny that you bring up walleye, Joe, because I had done my homework, and yeah, they had stocked walleye at one point or another, and I had done some looking around, and I was like, well, that would be fantastic. That would be a species that we don't easily come by or in this area. There's a handful of spots where you can find them, but it's not super easy to come by them. So I was like, oh God, that would be great. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm going to, try to cater what I'm throwing to as diverse a wide a species as I can. The baits that I threw on Saturday, I threw multiple finesse swim baits, 3 and 4 inch. I threw a drop shot. I could not throw my multi-species like go to the beetle spin. It was way too windy for that. That was just ridiculous. And what else did I throw? I threw a finesse jig and a Ned, and I threw. There's something else that I'm missing. There's maybe not. Maybe it was just those 4. Those are the ones that all got bit. Like they all got bit. We'll get to the bites in a minute because this is where the real trauma, the damage that was done, happened. And then I threw, because I wanted this to be the situation, because we're talking about crazy wind, unbelievable chop on the water, the thick blanket of clouds overhead. There was no sunlight really going on earlier in the day, especially that first run for the morning. There was nothing. So I happened to tie on a chatterbait. Did I throw on a lipless? No, a spinnerbait. And no, I did throw a lipless as well. And it seemed like they wanted nothing to do with anything that was vibrating. But I will say, speaking of vibrating, get your minds out of the gutters. Speaking of vibrating, I threw, I would say probably for the first time, my top shelf bladed jig this week. I've never thrown a jackhammer or a thunder cricket or anything like that, slobber knocker, anything like that before. But I was really, really kind of stoked that my Dark Horse tackle box had arrived earlier in the week, and in there was a Picasso shock blade. Yeah, half-ounce one. It was awesome. Wasn't exactly like an ideal color for what I was doing, so I actually took the skirt of it off and replaced it with a skirt that would kind of more fit what was getting bitten, and put a trailer to match on there. And wow, what a difference! I throw like my bladed jigs that I throw are used to be Z-Man originals. I think I may be making a change, So shout out to Dark Horse Tackle for allowing me to see the light. I mean, I was floored with this bait.
I was shocked.
Are awesome.
Yeah,
yeah. I was. We had talked about them on the show. Whereas I was, they had been my go-to. I do throw, like we had talked about. I do throw the jackhammer.
Stealth
blade.
Yep.
I do throw those. It's because it's a little bit less vibration, but when I really want that, really up in their face, I go with Picasso every single time. I got a ton of them.
Yeah, it is awesome, and I think I'm going to be making a change over to that as well, because that's one of the biggest issues that I have with the original Z-Man is that lots of times, like I'll start the retrieve and I have to pop it no matter what. I have to pop it in order to get it to start, vibrating. And I'm not saying that I don't catch fish on them, because I do. But I'm like, maybe this is the move. I don't know. But so shout out to Dark Horse Tackle again for, bringing the heat. I also got a great square bill in there that I had thrown a little bit too. But again, they didn't want anything that seemed to be vibrating, which sucked. Even my Klondike Custom Creation spinnerbait got nothing. No love at all. So again, like I'm reading this and I'm like, so it's only the finesse stuff that they're really sort of kind of honing in on. And I just couldn't get anything in the boat. So let's talk bites. Let's talk bite for bite. What happened? So we got to about like 8 to 10 bites, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, how many bites did I get? There was 2 over here, and there were 3 or 4 over here, and then this. So I came up with a number where to start, and then I just continued counting bites. And I stopped counting at the number 43. 43 is the number of bites where I stopped counting. Now, these were lots of these bites were just like taps where I would, see the line move even and try to set the hook. And I was like, there's just nothing fucking there. What's going on? A number of these were fish that had come up to the surface and then either like shaken loose off the hook. And I'm like, I changed my hooks out thinking like, oh, maybe, I ran them across a diamond quarry or something. It's, I don't know. Who knows what's down there? It's Connecticut. It's fucking no rules here. It's goddamn Vietnam.
Put the gun away.
So the best part of this whole thing was at one point, Meg and I are fishing right by Bobby,
and you can hear me swearing.
Meg and I are talking like, and we just hear this. Oh, 32.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, fucking 33.
I stopped.
We're fucking laughing.
I stopped counting at 43. Ladies and gentlemen, listening to this amazing podcast, I got over 50 bites that day. And 0 fish in the boat.
That sucks.
0 fish in the boat. My God.
You know what I'm actually surprised at, Bobby?
What's that?
Because you had clouds and you had wind, right?
Yep. And
it was a finesse bite. I would have thrown that beetle spin. I would have thrown it with the wind and let it sink.
Maybe I should have. The thing is all the bites were so deep, and that beetle spin is like, what is it, like 1/32 ounce?
Put on a bigger jig head.
Yeah,
you have quarter ounce Ned heads, right?
I do. I could have changed that. I probably should have. God, I can't believe it. It was, now when I explained day 2, I think what I was experiencing was a lot of bites from bluegill, and I'll explain exactly why. So, I had gotten off the water with everybody else. Like I said, there were drinks. We recorded a great segment. I can't wait for you guys to hear that. Not this show, coming up down in the future. You're going to hear us talk with Josh. It's great. So, like I said, there's food. We're drinking. I did tap into the jigglers. And I have to say, Sean, this is the one. I'm reaching. It's the one. Doesn't it feel vintage? It does. It vintage. I'll tell you what. When I popped this in my Dynavap vape, and I enjoyed it. And by the way, everybody thought I was like smoking crack with the Dynavap, and they did. They all thought because I use a torch to heat it, so it's
Bobby
nice.
Brought his meth pipe.
Everybody thought I was living life in Oklahoma. And here I am, enjoying the Jigglers. And all I want to do is listen to like original Belle Biv DeVoe, circa 1992, 1993, and just let it sink in. I'm like,
it's just Cypress fucking Hill. Put on Black Sunday, dude. That's the way to go.
It's so good. I was like, this is dynamite. I shared some with my my cohorts that did partake. In fact, with one of them, we did a little exchange.
Who?
Yeah, a little bit of OG Gorilla Glue. It's quality as well, And so I was like, holy crap. And like I said, I don't fuck around with flour a whole lot. And the Dynavap allows me to because there's no combustion. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really just freaking kill me like straight up flour does. So it was awesome. In fact, I'm considering reaching out to both Dynavap and Theory to see if they want to be partners on the show.
I did find a limit to it. One thing I didn't mention about my week, I had a concert on Thursday night, and that is one of the very, very rare times that is not bedtime where I will indulge, because at the beginning of the show I will take care of business. I'm not one of those concert goers who brings it in and everyone has to smell it. I do it out in the parking lot.
I'm that guy.
In and I know, and then by the end of the show, because
you're good to drive home. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not under the influence anymore. So I can just go ahead and drive, and I don't go overboard anyways. So on Thursday, I had one of my patented food reactions where my stomach was turning itself inside out. And then I used a different device that I normally don't use for my smoking. And I went a little overboard, and I did find that the Jigglers does have an edge to it if you go that far.
Oh yeah, I'll bet you. If I didn't want to. Yeah,
it was rough. It was a rough night on Thursday night, and then I had to kind of chill out and wait, and I had to wait a little bit before I got in the car and drove home. But I will say this: I'd like to Bobby, get the applause ready for Boston.
Yeah,
Boston, congratulations! You are now the city where I've seen the biggest fucking rat of my life running through a parking lot. This thing. I wear a size 11 and a half. This was bigger than my fucking shoe, and I'm not counting the tail. This was the biggest fucking rat I've ever seen in my life. Just brazenly, right near Fenway, running through the parking lot.
No,
congratulations, Boston.
Wow.
Back to Hookset. Sorry.
So, for the most part, Joe and I experienced pretty much the same thing. But at some point, Joe and Meg had left. Back up. They left the frightening land of Connecticut, and they moved back to the safe homeland of Massachusetts. And I continued to party. In fact, we ended up moving the party over to where we could have a fire, and we're sitting around the fire, sharing some stories. I'm not going to get into the details of this, but let me tell you, a couple of these stories had to do with celebrities from multiple people. And shocking shit, like amazing, like really just bizarre. I discovered some things. I think I might have uncovered some core memories that were a little disturbing. And it was just, man, it was so good. Like, and this is why, and it's so weird because I'm going to tell you guys this. It was in between during cornhole or while we were at the fire, we got a DM on Facebook from a gentleman who reached out, and he was like, "Hey man, what is this Hookset Hoodlums thing all about? Is it like a membership, like a Patreon or something? Like, what is this all about?" And it was like earlier this morning. I was still in the truck, and I'm like, "No, dude, it's an apparel brand." But I go, "It's not like any other apparel brand you've ever experienced." I was like, "Their stuff's available here, hooksethoodlums.com." And it was, I said, but their pro staff isn't like, you don't sign up for their pro staff. It's a little bit more like the mafia, like the family. You don't fall into the family business. The family business
You
falls
become a
into
made
you.
man.
Exactly. That's how it is. And I was like, basically people like wear their stuff, and then, obviously they'll use social media, they'll tag it and stuff when they're wearing it in their pictures. And they kind of like, they choose the folks that they think are, really, are you cool? And that's how they build their pro staff for the most part. And it's pretty awesome. So, he's like, but you can just go buy the apparel. I was like, absolutely, man. I was like, you can go get it. Go get it at hooksethoodlums.com, or shop on Amazon. If you just want to, get it primed to your house, you can do that too.
You can buy the apparel, but it'll cost you your pinky.
It's true.
Bobby, we forgot about something.
What we forget about?
We saw a fucking UFO.
Oh, we did see a UFO. No, seriously. This was the craziest thing I ever... Somebody tried to say it was satellites, but come on. Read between the lines.
There's probably
you guys were fucking high, huh? Or at least Bobby was.
I wasn't.
I know.
So real quick, it was actually Meg who saw it, and she's like, Joe, look up. And I look up, and it's literally like, what do you think, Bobby? Like 15, 20 lights?
Yeah,
like
in a string.
Perfect
like
row.
perfectly, yeah.
Yep. Just going slow, and then nothing. Then they were just gone.
Freaking disappeared. It was crazy.
That was wild.
It was disturbing. So, it got to be, like, obviously, most of us had been there since super early. I think Ryan and I was another one of the guys that was there crazy early as well. And, dude, he just freaking killed it. He really did. Nelson was there super early, the People's Chorizo. Actually, he was the first truck that I saw when I came through. I was like, oh, of course Nelson's here. That's awesome. So we go, and I should say this too. There were a number of folks that didn't make it. Last minute had stuff come up and stuff. Brandon Dust Off Fishing didn't make it. The Pendergasts had real serious concerns about the hurricane and up where they were, because in their neck of the woods, it was a different situation than where we were. We were further west, and we're just kind of dealing around with just the fringe of it. They were in it, and luckily, apparently, it was a little bit more of a bust than anything. It was nothing really super serious, at least for them. I'm not sure about the rest of the area. And there was a few folks like Brutus. He didn't make it out. It was a 40-minute drive, and he didn't make it out. And the Wild Bill laid it on thick. As Wild Bill just laid it on like Wild Bill. You know what I mean? So we had it was probably about 10 o'clock, and we were just like, you know what? Let's just call it. I'm exhausted. So we had all gone, back to our respective little camps and everything, and it was awesome. So I climbed into the truck, nice and cozy. I had those nice screens that go over my rear windows, so I can put them down, and it was just the perfect weather for camping. It was fantastic. I slept great. I probably woke up at like 6:30. Made some coffee. I did take out. Remember that camp stove I told you guys that my dad had gave me, that old like Coleman camp stove from like the 60s. Yeah. Yep. So I brought that out with me, and I decided not to convert it. Like, I might buy the part in order to convert it to propane if I want to use it. But I'm seeing now the value in using that Coleman fuel, that white gas. Because you can I think I could take like vodka and like use that if I needed. Like, it's very versatile. I started it up while I was there, and everything was good. But in the morning when I woke up, like, temperatures had dropped into like the low 50s, and there was just so much moisture everywhere. I wasn't able to light it up. So it was a good thing that I had my backup stove, because I had to make some freaking coffee, man. And brewed a pot of coffee. Of course, it's super early. Ken comes out. The whole crowd comes out. Breakfast sandwiches and everything. Like they took great care of us. They really did. What was it? We did like burgers and dogs for lunch, and then for dinner that night, we had these barbecue chicken drummies and pizza. And weren't those drumsticks awesome, man?
Oh yeah,
they were great.
Yeah, they were good.
And then
the pizza was phenomenal too.
Oh yeah. And then today there was, and I hate to admit that, Connecticut pizza. I hate to admit. But there's like a cult following specifically in New Haven. Then we move on to day 2. Now, I took it nice and easy. I wasn't looking to rush. I was just like, I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm going to handle my business. I'm going to launch that boat when I'm good and goddamn ready. And this is how it played out. Much, much, much calmer winds. I think we started out with winds in the morning at like 3 miles an hour. It was really, really gentle, like just enough to put a little bit of shimmer on the water. And I start throwing my beetle spin. And I said, now that the wind is, there's an entire half of the lake that I didn't touch, simply because like you were just getting destroyed over there with the wind. There was just no way. And I go over, I'm like, I'm just going to go out that way. We'll see what happens. So right by the launch, there's these 4 or 5 docks. And I go and I start fishing those docks and kind of following along the line, flipping this beetle spin in and reeling it over and catch a bluegill. Wow. I'm going to take a picture of this bluegill because this is the only bluegill I want to take a picture of. I didn't take a picture of the other 23 bluegill I caught because that would be a waste of space on my phone. I mean, these were tanks bluegill. Like most of these bigger than my hand. Like definitely, if we were doing a catch and cook, the majority of these were eaters for sure. You know, and I crossed by Tito, and he told me that he spotted some perch, and I was just like, yeah, I'll get over there eventually. When I got to the last dock in that one little section there, though, I had released this one of the bluegill that I had caught. Released this bluegill, and I saw it kind of dart like toward this dock, and then out of the dock, I see what's cruising is just a big ass like 18, 19 inch largemouth. 0 fucks given. Just like knowing that I was there was just like, fuck off, and just kept going, you know, wanted nothing to do with me. So I go around, I work the entire bank all the way down to that back end. I cut straight across. We had a little bit of depth there. I think it got down to like 18 or 20 feet, something like that. I did get a bite on the bottom with a finesse jig. Did not connect. No idea. But I'm like, all right, you know, and I did actually, when I went over that spot, I did see a couple of small marks on my graph. So that got me thinking. I was like, are these maybe just gills biting this bait and maybe grabbing like the back of that curly tail grub or the paddle tail or whatever I'm presenting with it? Maybe it was. So I go to the other bank and I start now allowing the wind that's picked up a little bit more to push me down the bank. And I'm just kind of fishing it as quickly as I can and efficiently as I can. Switching out from the beetle spin to the finesse jig based on the cover that I'm throwing into, you know? Again, 24 bluegill all day is what happened to me. Now we're at the point of the day where I'm over by the island and the wreck boats start coming out. I get it. The wreck boats, they are doing everything that they possibly can to get as much in for the summer before things wrap up. So, and today was a great day for it. While it started out cold, once the sun was fully up and out high in the sky, it warmed up pretty fast. I mean, I think it was like 78, 79 in the sun, which was, you know, which is awesome. The water temps were like 72, you know, it was great. So I cross over the deepest part of the lake now, and I am throwing I downsized my finesse swim bait in 2 ways. I switched to a lighter jig head with a smaller hook and a 3-inch 2.8 Kitech, right? And I should say that the color pattern I was throwing, all matched, like everything all matched. It was the same color pattern, and everything was getting hit. I go over and I'm in the middle of this one spot, and I'm making my way because, again, I want to be off the water by noon because I want to be here in time for this. And I'm like, I still got to, you know, break camp down. I got to do all this stuff. So I make my way over, and I am in between. No bullshit, guys. I'm in between these 2 wreck boats with water skiers doing like a circle. Like they would do one long rip on one end of the lake, come over and then do the other bank like this, back and forth. And in between them, like weaving diagonally, was a jet ski that I think had a death wish. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. Oh my God. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. I see a boat coming from quite a ways, and I know that I'm the slower of the 2 vessels. I just want them to stay at speed and go by. I'll deal with what's left. I just want them to go by. Why is it that these idiots insist on just like stopping where they are, you know, or slowing down as if you're somehow going to make it pedaling your fat keister across that lake in the amount of time? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. In fact, one of these wreck boats, like, just in the middle of the lake, just decided, like, no, we're just going to sit here and hang out. I don't know if there was like a problem with the boat. He seemed to be looking around for something. A crack pipe? I don't know. I'm not sure. And a shoe. And so I finally make it to the other bank, and then we get to the bank with the aforementioned. Did we talk about the bachelorette party or whatever it was over there?
No,
we are now.
Saturday.
Let's talk about this, okay? So not too far from where we were launching, there was this house. I don't know if it's a rental or what it was, but there was a large group of women enjoying, a weekend outing, of sorts. And, it's all good. They're doing their thing. It's fine. And, the dock just looks super juicy. I wanted to cover this dock really, really well. And Nelson, the People's Chadis, had documented my covering this dock very well. And I'm going to share that for you guys on Instagram. I'm going to double check and make sure that it's all right. But yeah, he kind of called me out on the detail work that I was doing over on this one specific dock. But this is important because of this. As I cut across the lake and I finally got to that bank, Jimmy goes fishing and Scooby Steve, they were on Jimmy's boat and they were right out further offshore from that dock, but right nearby. So as they kind of made their way past, I kind of snuck in a little closer to that dock, and I caught the only largemouth I caught this weekend on my way back to the ramp. And to fucking twist the knife, I'm talking to Ryan Nye afterwards, which I should just say, Ryan Nye, nice guy. Definitely, I don't know how he's a hoodlum, because he does not seem like hoodlum material. First off, he's an amazing angler.
That was so low.
Right.
Not nice.
No, he is. I mean, and spoiler alert, he took that whole tournament, and Nelson was second place. And which I think is probably, I think what those two guys could have been either one of them, because it was close. I go over and I'm talking with him, and I was like, yeah, man, I was like, I can't, finally, I got one largemouth right on my way back to the ramp. I was like, it's that off that dock where they were having that bachelorette party or whatever. He goes, dude, he's like, I caught my last fish there too. It was an 18. I almost jumped in the fucking lake. I was like, okay. I'm like, are you serious? I guess I'm not the only person he did this to, because like there were multiple times where he was like fishing, in one area, and he's like, yeah, it's a tough bite today. Bang, 3-pounder. Like, all right. Everybody struggled, but I definitely had the worst turnout of the entire group that was fishing that day. I couldn't get bit for people were talking about, there's so many pickerel in here. There's so many pickerel. I didn't catch a single pickerel. I did have one shake off. I didn't catch a pickerel. And that's I think one of the reasons why I think that lake kind of reminded me of Congamon Jr. was once I saw the size of that pickerel that shook off, I was like, oh, that's a Congamon Jr. pickerel right there.
14-incher?
Maybe 13 and a quarter.
Emaciated 14-incher?
Yep. Starving, asking for change at the end of the highway. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? So yeah, it was rough, but so we get done. Everybody's, taking care of their stuff and everything. And we get there, and the guys, the trilogy, the godfathers of the Hookset Hoodlums family are setting up this nice display with all the trophies and everything for all the winners and the losers, because this is 2023 and everybody gets a trophy. And as well as a lovely spread for lunch. We had pulled pork sandwiches, homemade coleslaw, homemade mac salad, which was like the buzz with everybody. I tried a little bit. It was absolutely dynamite. It was a good time. I had a real good time. Packed up camp, headed home. here we are. You know, I do love the fact everybody got a kick out of my setup. I think I had my little like personal like wardrobe changing tent, because lying down and changing your clothes in a 4-runner as a 300-pound piece of shit is not fun. It's not. You know, this thing was, and I staked it down, which was smart. And even with the wind on Saturday, it didn't move at all. So that was a good thing. But yeah, it was a whole lot of fun. I had a great time. I think everybody else in attendance had an absolute blast. They had mentioned doing this again for sure. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think actually it doesn't have to be a big production. I even mentioned it in the Camp Hookset group chat. I was like, if you guys want to just do this, let's schedule some time to go and do a trip together. Find a spot, disperse camp. We can all make it work, And I think collectively, we could probably even just split stuff up. Like, we don't need to bring 1 million kitchen setups. It could be interesting. Yeah, so it was a blast, man. Thank you to Wild Bill, Andrew, and Ken, especially Ken's family, because they were a part of this like the entire time. And I don't know what kind of sainthood can be given to individuals who tolerate the kind of shenanigans like the Hookset Hoodlums provide, but they were awesome, and I appreciate them. Thank you very much, guys. It was an absolute blast. We had a great time. Lots of good content, I think, is going to come out of here. Were you there for the group photos, Joe? Or did you leave before that?
No, I got in them.
Oh, okay. Because that was a little gross and perverted.
Weird.
It got weird quick.
I couldn't see for like 2 hours.
So obviously we had 2/3 of Jigs and Bigs there. Nelson was there. Ryan and I was there. The 3 OGs. Who else was there? Tell us more about the crowd.
So we had Jimmy Goes Fishing. He is a Virginia-based angler. We're gonna have him on the show too. And then Scooby Steve. Not OG Scuba Steve. Scooby Steve he's from Southern Connecticut. He actually, we were talking Toyotas. He's a good dude to know. So this is good. But yeah, great dudes. Like, they get out, they fish all the time. Who else did we have there? Uncle Scott was there. Fatty Hunter was in the house. We had, who else was there? Let me actually go through the chat, and that'll tell me exactly who was there, because it's a little cloudy. It's a little bit cloudy.
Your memory is jiggled?
I've been jiggled pretty good. Yeah, so Chris and Sarah obviously did not make it. Lockwood didn't make it. So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but so I guess Lockwood did some at-home vehicle modifications to his Mercedes. Like drilled in like a rod locker or something on top, like on the roof, fixed some headlights, was all ready to go. And then I thought somewhere in the chat he had mentioned leaving about midnight so that he could be there in plenty of time to launch and everything else. And I was like, that's a good idea. And then when I got home from work on Friday.
Wait a minute, Bobby.
Yeah.
The bad idea that they admitted to last year was somehow a good idea this year. All right. Come on, Lockwood. You're better than that, buddy.
So, no, but this is what's wild. So there was a live video on Friday of him just doing like home repairs. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he was just up on a ladder, like just working on stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then what was it about? It must have been about 6 or 7 in the morning. He had messaged that he was waiting for some electricians to clear him to be able to take off, and then he went to go leave and was having car problems and wasn't able to make it. So that sucked. The butcher was, however, in Maryland, so we got a FaceTime call from Ryan and Cody, which is awesome. Who else did we have there? We had Nelson, Ryan, we had Scooby Steve, Tito, Fisherman Papit. We had Wild Bill, of course. And who else made it? I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uncle
it.
Scott. That's it. It was a small group this year. But this was a really, really fun event. Like way, way, way less stress, I think, than doing a 2-day crazy like everything. So hopefully, they'll see this grow, even further, because now they kind of have a good grasp on like making this happen. And they want to do, from what I understand, they want to do like a hoodlum fest, like that's open to the public where everybody can come and like do stuff, which is cool. And then they want to do something like this that's just kind of more like private, like for like the pro staff members and stuff. I think that's genius. And I mean, like, what a way to kind of like grow with like camaraderie and everything. It's a blast. It's all my favorite stuff about fishing all together, even catching 24 bluegill and 1 nibbler bass. I'll take it. It is what it is. So yeah, that was my week in a nutshell. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. I turned 46 this week, guys. I forget things. It happens. It's going to happen to you too. All of you.
Jiggled. You've been jiggled.
Fucking jiggled. So I think what we're going to do, guys, is talk tourney stuff, because there's some interesting stuff. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K, ladies and gentlemen. If you're of a specific age, you can appreciate that statement. So as we've mentioned on the show before, this, Sean, do you want to talk like tournament stuff going forward, or do you want to talk standings now?
Yeah, let's do the standings real quick.
Let's do standings, okay.
Yeah, as we know, because this is a good lead into where things are going next month and for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
As we talked about was it last week? No, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of miscommunication with when a certain set of rules was going to be applied, and they were applied a little early, so we had to offer refunds if people wanted to jump out of the tournament. And no one did. Everyone stuck around, so thanks, guys. It's because you guys are cool. Change. Yeah, it's a scoring change. But we'll talk about this tournament right now. So the September tournament right now, I'll just go through the top 10 names listed. So with 5 points, we have Ryan Breen, Liam Van Valkenburg, Steve Galloway, and Binya. With 6 points, we have Thomas Monahan and Cheryl Bentley. And then I guess that's third place with 6 points. Fourth place would be the 5 points. Tied for second place, Nelson, Chrissy, and Tim Bean with 8 points. And then I just jumped ahead today with 9 points for the multi-species fucking bonanza that I had today up in the Berkshires. And then looking at second place, so we are using the tiebreaker of total length for the tournament. Mm-hmm. So that would put Nelson in true second place, and then Tim in third, and then Chrissy in fourth. And after that, Thomas and Cheryl tied. So that would be Cheryl would top Thomas for fifth. Mm-hmm. So we're only paying out 4 spots right now. So right now it would be I'm in first, Nelson's in second, Tim's in third, Chrissy's in fourth.
Nice.
Easy enough.
I think this new system is going to be so freaking sweet.
Yes, and we're going to go through this again just so people know what's coming for. October is going to be a taste test for 2024.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it.
Yes. So September lines up with this a little bit, but there's going to be some changes, okay? Mm-hmm. So starting in October for the Jigs and Bigs multi-species Scavenger Hunt nationwide, it's going to be 1 point per category. The lunker point's gone. It's already gone now. The lunker point will no longer be returning. What we were seeing was some anglers were relying on that lunker. Yeah. And some were able to do it, and it kind of defeats the purpose. The mission statement of this tournament is we want people to get out and fish for as many species as possible. So if we had lunkers in, people were winning the tournament on lunkers, on the backs of lunkers, and not really going for other species. So it was kind of like, let's get rid of the lunker. And length comes in. We can still go for those bigger fish. Length comes in as a tiebreaker. So that's where we're at right now. That's why I just went over the tiebreakers for the current score. Yep. For the current standings. So we got 1 point per category, which is a species. Length is the main tiebreaker, and then I have a couple other tiebreakers I threw in after that. Those will be in the rules. Mm-hmm. Next month, starting in October, we will be at 22 species, individuals. I broke them down where I could. Yeah. There are still some groupings like sunfish.
Carp is one.
Carp I grouped together because there's so few carp being put in. Yep. Sunfish I grouped together still. Northern pike, muskies, and tiger muskies are still grouped together. and walleye, sauger, and saweye. Those two categories, because those species can all interbreed, and I'm not fucking around with identifying, tiger muskies versus muskies, and I'm not getting into that. So we're going to keep those all together.
Yep.
This is a big change. Big. Any body of fresh water in the U.S., public or private. All right. Now, let me explain this. We want people fishing.
Yep.
Okay. We want people fishing where they're comfortable. If you are legally able to get into a body of water, if your cousin lives on a lake and it's a private lake, and they allow you to fish it, I don't want to put you guys in the position that I was in for some time of, God, I have to fish a lake that I don't want to fish. Go out and fish it.
Yeah.
All right. There's 22 species. The chances that I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to go on a limb here and say it's nearly impossible, if not fully impossible.
Yep.
For someone to have a private lake and nail all these 22 species in it. I don't think there's public lakes where you can nail all these 22
that
species.
Many, no way. Yeah.
You and I talked about this on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wants to catch all 22. They're going to have to travel.
Yeah. And that's what it's going to get down to, Public, private, I don't care. Because when you take the lunker out, that's usually what people complain about is, this guy caught a 7-pound bass out of a private pond where they don't see lures. I don't care. Your 7-pounder is just as good as my 14-incher. I don't give a fuck. That's exactly it.
It's 1 point.
Shit,
that's all
that 7-pounder is as good as the 8-incher I'm putting in, at the minimum.
There you go.
There
you go. So
it's
public or private, I don't care. As long as you can legally enter it. And it's in the rules saying that, just to cover our asses, we want you to fish. We want you to fish where you're legally able to.
Yeah.
If you are not legally able to get into a body of water, don't. I'm saying it point blank.
Yeah.
Do not go into a body you are not supposed to go into. A body of water, I should say.
Yeah.
Don't trespass. Don't break the law.
Yeah.
Clear it with, ensure that you're supposed to be there to fish, and don't break any laws. This tournament isn't a big money tournament. You might win a couple $100. I mean, who gives a fuck?
And really, I'll be honest with you. It's great if you're going to place in the money, but the more folks that we get in, here's the thing, guys. The more folks that we get in to these tournaments every single month, the better the payouts are. That's a no-brainer. Yep. But the larger they get, the more leverage we have when we work with great companies that we love to be able to do great giveaways and raffle prizes. Because keep in mind, that's not going away. Every single month we do these awesome, giveaways. And when I dropped off that fresh baits package to Thomas at Trivia, he was stoked. You know what I mean? He didn't win any money, but he's like, holy shit, this is awesome. I got to engage with the podcast, literally fish alongside all these other listeners of this show, get updates on all this stuff on Fishing Chaos, but also on the show. And then, I have an opportunity because I didn't land in the money to win some prizes. Why wouldn't you? It's,
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to continue that, I think, in the next year, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's been good. A matter of fact, just to take a pause on the ruling here, I did totally forgot to mention this. The Eastern States Exposition, which is basically the Massachusetts State Fair, but it's all in New England.
Yep.
Started up this week. I went out on Military Day. It's their opening day on last Friday. And I had reached out to John of Nor'easter and of Nor'easter Apparel. And he didn't get back to me. But then I saw he had posted on Facebook that they were at their quote unquote home away from home for 2.5 weeks. And I said, okay, they're at the Big E. And I went over there, got to talk with John, did buy one of their new shirts. Joe, you'll like this. There's a new Nor'easter shirt. I would show it to you, but it was soaked and I put it in the laundry. It's like a dark black, like a charcoal camo, Nor'easter logo on the back, on the front, and on the back, bald eagle, red, white, and blue wings with the feathers. It is right up your alley, Mr. America. And I did buy one because they are fucking awesome. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome.
Getting back, I'm sorry.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, they had a couple new designs, and I was psyched. But I did talk to him. They've been great about sponsoring our tournaments this year, and I'm hoping they'll continue next year. So we'll talk. I'm going to see them again through the course of the fair. I've got to stop in at least one more time, if not twice. But yeah, we have great sponsors. We want people out fishing. We want there's sponsors out there that are trusting us that we're getting people involved and they're giving us goods to hand out. It's promotional stuff, and it's great. So we want people fishing. The more tourney or the more people in the tournament. Yeah, I know, Gravy. We know. Maybe we'll talk about that offline. Thank you. We want people fishing again, Bobby. Just like you said, the more people we get in, the more eyes on us, the more eyes on products that are being donated, and honestly, bigger payouts and more payouts because every 10 people, I add another payout. So
yeah,
it's just it's good for everybody.
Yep, for sure.
There is some stuff, some nitpicking I'm going to put on this, and not some nitpicking, some fine details. I keep getting asked this, and some people don't even bother asking. They just fucking put them in, especially in the NE5. But the NE5 will be going away.
Yeah, the NE5 is gone.
Let's start with that. The NE5 is gone in October. The reason for that is the NE5 is possibly the single biggest workload we have for judging. Because
it's true.
When you think about it, I've reiterated over and over again that the NE5, it's a nice marker. It's a nice metric. You get 100 inches in the NE5, you really probably are doing some damage in the tournament, and that gets you going on those lunkers. I can't tell you how many goddamn 8 to 14 inch fish I have judged in the NE5 because people just throw them in there.
They just put them in there. Yeah.
It's just, they're not thinking like, oh, hey, the leader has 100 inches already. Great, I'll put in an 8-inch fish. The fuck does that do other than getting you the point, and now I have to judge it? So the 85 is out of here. One of the big questions I get asked about, and people just put them in, was stripers and drum.
Yep.
Stripers can live in salt water. Now, we've explained this before where they live in fresh water in the center of the country and in the south in reservoirs. We know that.
Yep.
The problem is, this is not a saltwater tournament. They're in the salt. They're in the Atlantic. We have striped bass everywhere, all the way up and down the East Coast. So we don't want striped bass in because that's great. You turned in a 30-something incher from a Midwest reservoir. People are out there catching 40s to 50s in the salt because they just get bigger and they got eels to eat and fucking mackerel and whatever the fuck they want. We're doing you guys a favor.
It is
no
a favor,
striped bass. Freshwater drum look suspiciously like saltwater drum, so they're out too. I'm just not dealing with that. It's saving us work because when you're talking about judging hundreds of fish, there's a limit.
Should we go over the list of species?
You want to go right ahead?
Yeah,
I gave you the list, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go and keep talking. I'm gonna call it up.
Okay, you do that. One thing I do want to, I'll be putting in the rule. All these will be in the rules. These notes. Catfish. That is your one species. You do not have to put on its side because those fuckers get upset and they throw their pectoral fins out. Please put catfish on their bellies. I can still identify them. Okay. I have seen some weird pictures of catfish over the past couple months, and just put them on their bellies. It's okay. Next up, Bobby, I'm going to cover 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 categories right now.
Yep.
Bowfin, now separated from snakehead.
Yep.
Pickerel, the 3 pike species, meaning pike, muskie, and tiger muskie, and the 3 walleye species, meaning walleye, sauger, and sawguy.
Yep.
I'm okay with open mouths on them. Safety first, people. Those fuckers have teeth. If you're using a lip gripper or having the mouth open, I'm okay with it. Here's what I ask. You need to show the bottom lip touching the board on any of those species. That will be in the rules, okay?
Yeah.
You can have a lip gripper in there. If I don't see the bottom lip contacting that board, I will deny it because I can't see it.
Yeah.
I can't get an accurate measurement if I can't see it. You could have that thing 3/4 of an inch away, an inch away, I don't know. I want to see those species. So again, bowfin, snakehead, pike, tiger muskie, pickerel, walleye, sauger, sawguy. They have nasty teeth. Please be safe. Use a fish gripper if you need to. The mouths are open. There will be no deduction on those species.
Fair enough.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Here's another one of my little pet peeves. This is an individual tournament, all right? There is no way I'm in a boat with you and I know that you're fishing by yourself, or if your buddy's fishing and you're using his fish that he's catching. I don't know that. But when other competitors see 2 people in a photo, or if someone else is taking the photo for you, that will be denied right off the bat. All right? I don't even want a hint of team fishing on this over fucking $150 or whatever the prize is going to be. I don't want that.
I had explained it to somebody this week at one of my trivia nights, actually asking about the changes for October. And I was like, so there's no obviously no team fishing, but like obviously, there are people that will go out that are entered together and fish together. That's fine. What we're saying quite literally is keep anybody who's with you out of those pictures. We don't even want the suspicion that there's any kind of shit going on that could potentially be shady, because there's no possible way to prove that. So the way that we're going to only accept those photos is if nobody else is in those pictures and they're very clearly not from another perspective.
Correct. They have to be taken by the person who's submitting. So, we don't want that. Here's where this is going to be a little new twist. We're going to police this ourselves, folks. Every angler will be given 5 challenges for the entire month. So if you hate my guts and you want to fuck around with me and say, I'm challenging everything, and then I have to look at that and go through it, and I'm wasting my time on that, that's cute. You're crying wolf. If you actually have a problem and you need to challenge it and you say, hey, that fish's mouth is open and you've used up your 5 challenges dicking with me,
we're just deleting it.
Sorry, no, they're not going to be able to challenge it. They only got 5. Each angler will have 5. I might, this is the first time we're doing this, so that number might go up or down for future tournaments, but we'll see how this goes. Integrity, please, folks. If you see something wrong, challenge it. Go for it. Fuck around with me, you're going to find out. Before Bobby gets to the species list, I have a little bit of work, some touch-up work left to do on the rules and on the graphics. So normally we have the tournaments posted by the 15th. This will be posted as soon as possible. I did get to go fishing today, which, fuck it, I did it. Bobby will be posting once the graphics and the rules are completed. I will be sending the graphics to Bobby. He will be putting an Instagram post up. So normally registration is open by now. It is not. Today is the 17th we're recording on. I hope to have everything done by the time this podcast airs.
Yeah.
And if not, please keep an eye on the Jigs and Bigs Instagram/Facebook feeds. Bobby will have a post up saying, register now, motherfuckers. Game on. We're up.
New rules, baby.
So please explain our species or list our species or whatever.
So our list looks like this. There's 22 species in total and in alphabetical order. We've got blue catfish, blues, specifically blues. Blues aren't in every part of the country. This should be interesting. Those of you that have them, take advantage. Bowfin, we mentioned them already. Mm-hmm. Brook trout, one of the many trout species we've got listed. Brown trout, next up. Bullhead catfish, and this is brown or yellow. I mean, it's kind of negligible, but bullheads. So we're adding bullheads in there. Carp species, that includes all of them. You catch a giant mirror, wonderful. You get a ghost carp, fantastic. You got a 50-pound freaking common, beautiful. It's all good. Are we including koi in there as well? Probably.
Yeah, I'll throw. I didn't see the list on there, but if somebody puts if somebody puts one in there, I'm fine with it.
Some people release them in ponds and shit like that, and they get enormous, and they're fucking orange. They're crazy. Yep. Channel catfish are everywhere. Have at it. Crappie, that includes black and white crappie. Flatheads, again, not everywhere, but if you got them, go for it. Lake trout, and I'm so glad that lake trout have their own category. Largemouth and spotted bass, they're together. We got northern pike and muskies. That includes tiger muskies as well. Chain pickerel, any species of pickerel. Of pickerel. Rainbow trout, rock bass. Got to have rock bass. Smallmouth, snakehead, sunfish, including bluegill, green, red ear, all that stuff. If it's a sunfish, it counts. Tiger trout, walleye, sauger, and saugeye, all included. White perch, yellow perch.
Two separate categories this time.
And that makes 22.
22 categories.
And
if anyone gets all 22, I mean, that's fucking amazing. You're gonna have the length to go behind it, so go for it, but you're gonna have to travel all over the fucking country to do it. So
that's exactly it. It's set up in a way so that really everybody's kind of got a little something in their own corner. And 22, let's be honest here. If you were to get 10 of those, you're probably doing fantastic, Yeah. But if you're that guy that can get 12,
it's a lot.
There you go. It is a lot. It's a whole lot,
I mean, for this tournament with combined categories, I'm at 9 right now, and actually one of them doesn't really count. I'm technically at 8 because I have an NE5, which are all doubled up
That's
fish,
right.
pickerel, and largemouth.
Yep.
So I have 8 species right now, and I'm busting my ass, and I haven't caught a crappie. So I could get to 9. I think the chances of me getting anything beyond 9 are a little difficult unless I go catfishing at night or something. But again, if anybody has any questions on this, I'll be setting up a new email address. I've been using my personal one for communication, and I don't really think that's appropriate. We'll set something up. There'll be an email address on there. You can always reach out to me on Instagram, Sean the Fisherman, at Sean the Fisherman, excuse me. No spaces, no underscores, none of that shit, SHAWN. And feel free, jump in. We want to see as many people as possible out fishing. This is your first step, into competitive fishing, and we're trying to KISS as much as possible, which is keep it simple, stupid for all of us.
I do love the fact that we're using October as a little taste test to sort of get things moving. I think this is going to be awesome. So tell your friends, get on and let them know, like, hey, we're doing this multi-species scavenger hunt. You should get in on it. One thing to note, there has been a big change in the rules. The musky boards are out.
Yes, I was just going to get into that. Catch boards only.
Yep, catch boards only. So this is a great opportunity right now for you to go ahead and get your catch board in advance. So catch boards only keeps it nice and uniform. We're just trying to make it easy for everybody. Because realistically, I would like to see us have hundreds of anglers playing every single month with this scavenger hunt. And then who knows where this could go. Let's grow it into something amazing together. We can do that.
And one other thing that I will be working on is I appreciate everyone that's paying attention to the rules and doing a good job with their identifier cards. But there are a lot of people out there that do not fish, kayak events that there are standard identifier cards made for. So for you guys, and I mean, hell, I'll be using it too. I am looking at putting some Jigs and Bigs graphics on a tin plate and then having it professionally done, and we'll probably be carrying those.
Yeah.
More to come in the future. That's kind of, if I could have that done by next year, that'd be awesome. But I have some research to do on that to see who would be able to produce that.
Yeah. Still the early stages of that, but it's something. And again, like if the interest is there, for sure. Like, let's go ahead and we'll make, and as these tournaments happen, we're going to have more tips on like, the newbie getting into it. We'll probably put together some content that we can share either on our Patreon or maybe, I got to do some updating of the website. That needs to happen this year. It needs to happen. So that's something that should be going on. It's going to be really good. I'm excited about the multi-species tournament. I'm trying to bring in some guests that are primarily multi-species anglers and kind of bring it to like that next level to sort of bring a little bit of inspiration. We'll have some fun. I think it'll be a whole lot of fun, but let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll get back. Segment number 2. We've got all kinds of good stuff. I got to tell you guys, segment number 2, we have an FTG that's going to blow your freaking minds. And I heard this and I was like, oh shit. It killed me to not share this with you guys in advance, but I need your natural, real reactions. I love it.
Fair enough.
I love it. Let's go ahead and we'll take a short break. We'll be right back, guys, after a word from our partners. We'll see you guys in a bit. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form content. We're excited to offer Jigs and Bigs listeners a 15% off savings on your first installment of a month-to-month subscription to Dark Horse Tackle. Dark Horse Tackle provides a monthly supply of small batch, craft, and custom lures, allowing anglers to try some otherwise tough-to-discover baits. This is stuff you're not going to find just anywhere, and Dark Horse Tackle does the hard part for you. They track down these small companies and then test the baits to determine if they're good enough for the DHT community. Subscribe now at darkhorsetackle.com and use the promo code JIGSandBigs15 for your 15% off savings now. For all your premium kayak needs, we partner with Three Bells Outfitters. Located along Smith Cove in Niantic, Connecticut, Three Bells is your go-to location for kayaks and accessories by Hobie, Native, Bonafide, Jackson, Yak Attack, Naqua, Boom Boondocks, Burley Pro, and much, much more. Financing options are available to upgrade your kayak fishing experience. White glove delivery service is also available. Visit threebellsoutfitters.com for more info, and don't forget to tell them that Jigs and Bigs sent you. When it comes to high-quality polarized sunglasses, we've partnered with Toredge. They provide stylish sunglasses in a variety of frames that are light and fit comfortably on your face. The polarization cuts glare and allows you to see the whole picture, helping you identify what's below the water's surface. They have a 60-day risk-free trial, a lifetime warranty, and free shipping. Plus, you can save yourself 10% off with the code JIGSandBIGS10 at checkout. Visit Toredge.com to check out their selection and lens options. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here from Jigs and Bigs. You know, if there's one thing I can't stand spending money on, it's on something that's not versatile, something that I can't get a lot of use out of. I want to talk to you about Frost Buddy. What Frost Buddy is it's one of those can coolers. I've seen these before. In fact, I have some that are limited to only fitting one specific size of can, like a standard 12-ounce can. I stumbled onto Frost Buddy, and I was blown away with it. So versatile. Fits standard cans, tall cans, slim cans, and even 12-ounce bottles. And the magic is the insert fits all of these items in various stages within the insert. And when you take that out, you can fit a full 16-ounce tall boy can. In fact, it even doubles down on being versatile with the coffee lid. And on my recent trip to Chickamauga, I had a field day with this thing. I was throwing beer cans in it. I'd have coffee in the morning. On the drive, I was throwing in all different sizes of cans for different canned coffee products to keep me awake on the long drive back. The thing was amazing. So I recommend you check out Frost Buddy. If you're in the market for either a travel cup for your coffee or a can cooler at all, either one of those, check it out. For the money, you cannot go wrong. What I've done is this. In the show notes for this podcast you're listening to right now, if you look there, you'll find a link to Frost Buddy where you can get yours. And not only can you go and get your Frost Buddy there, but you can help out the show as well. Go and visit that link in the show notes to this podcast. Check out a Frost Buddy. Tons of colors, tons of patterns, all kinds of great stuff. And it's a great spot to put your Jigs and Bigs sticker too. Take it from me, Bobby Roast Beef. You're going to get the most versatility out of this one product, probably out of anything you're ever going to buy, especially for anything that you're drinking. Frost Buddy. It works for me. I'm a happy guy. We're rolling. All right, we are rolling in 3, 2.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Folks, this week we are skipping the tip. We are skipping the tip. The segment 1 was just too full, damn it. So we're skipping the tip right now. But what I have for you is amazing. This week's FTG, guys. I have to set this up. Sean, are you reading something? Or are you frozen?
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, okay, all right. You were so still. I was like, this is not gonna work if he can't hear what's going on. So I'm gonna go ahead, and I can't believe that this shit fucking happened. All right, but earlier this week, now I have to search and find it. I had you guys remember Adam Blomeke, right?
Of course.
Yeah, Adam's a great dude. We've had Adam on the show. I've actually completely been a moron, and we haven't fished yet this summer, but I'm thinking that maybe a fall send is in order. Adam, if you're listening, hit a bitch up. Let's do it. Kayaks or a bank send, I'm down with anything. Let's go ahead and do it. But Adam had shared a post on the old Instagram, the IG, as the cool kids say, and I chimed in on. I can't fucking believe this shit happened, and I can't guarantee, but I just feel like it's so fucking right on. And the world is a smaller place than you think it is. So Adam had posted this post on Instagram. Do you guys see this? It's a can of sardines, right?
I think I might have seen it.
So I had commented, the caption that he wrote goes, "Am I the asshole if I bring these for an in-flight snack tomorrow?"
Oh, God, yes. Come on.
So I commented, and I said, yes, they're delicious, but yes, asshole king for cracking that can on a plane, 100%. He goes, "Well, here's hoping you're not flying to Cincinnati with me tomorrow because fuck them." And I said, someone's going to call in an FTG. Just wait. And he says, it would be an honor of a lifetime if to be called in as an FTG for something like this. And now I can't fucking believe this. All right. But here we go. Buckle up, folks.
Yeah, this is Big John from Covington, and I'm calling in to send a big old fuck that guy to the dude that was on the last leg of my flight home to Cincinnati. Now, most people bring snacks like candy, peanuts, or even chips. But this guy, as soon as we got the flight attitude, he reaches into, I don't know if it was a satchel, a fanny pack, or maybe even a purse. I don't know. It's a new day and age, and I don't judge people. But this dude whips out a can of chicken of the sea sardines and a bottle of Louisiana hot sauce. Again, to each his own, man. I don't judge, but the minute he popped the top, I swear to you, it instantly smelled like a bad night, or a stripper pole on a bad night. Then this dude slathered them things up with what seemed like a gallon of hot sauce and choked them down like he ain't ate in a month. I swear I even caught him looking a couple of them things in the eye and talking trash to him before he chucked them down his throat. He demolished the whole can and then started passionately licking his fingers clean. At this time, all I could think was the hookers must really love this dude. Once he was done being intimate with his fingers, he let out the biggest, foulest burp I ever heard. And I don't know if this dude had a bowl of skunk ass before them sardines, but his breath was rank, man. I honestly didn't know whether to offer that old boy a Tic Tac or toilet paper. It smelled so bad. Hell, I could still smell it when I hopped in my Uber home. Now, I knew smell was still on me for the fact that when my Uber driver looked back and said, rough night, needless to say, my last few hours on a plane were my worst. With that being said, F you, Sardine Man. May you never fly together with me again. Y'all take care now.
Question number 1.
Yes.
Where does one purchase a bowl of skunk ass to devour?
That's what I'm saying, dude. I think there was like new nomenclature that was created right in that. And I can't believe that this shit fucking happened. Like, are we that large? Do we have that kind of reach that somebody on that flight witnessed what went down at the hands of Adam Blomeke so much that they were just like, I can't believe this motherfucker. I mean, obviously, like, they didn't talk or anything, you know? But, God. Biggest Nick's comments is, how did he get him on the plane? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to know. I mean, judging, you know, maybe he hid them internally. I don't know. Yeah. Rough. I don't understand how this shit happens, but he called and that was a thing. So, Adam, I hope you're honored because somebody called you in, bud. Gross.
Yeah, wicked gross.
You guys, big sardine guys?
Fuck.
I used to eat sardines every now and again.
Every once in a while.
I like seafood. I tried them out.
Like on a cracker, something like that. I'm not afraid of the tin. Actually,
with a fork. Just done.
Just straight up.
Raw dog and some sardines.
See, I got to tell you, man, I'm no stranger to tinned fish. And I have one of my favorite things. They're from Spain. They're these little scallops in like, I would say it's probably like a tomato, like a spicy tomato sauce. They're out of this world. That bar up the Shears in Great Barrington that Holly and I like, Moon Cloud. They do charcuterie boards exclusively, and they have these on their menu, and it is out of this world. I love it. Or hold on, I didn't even think about this. Or maybe did they talk? We need Adam to verify. I don't know. I'll find out.
I think they're a little more familiar with each other than one would think.
Maybe. That's freaking.
Just a thought.
Oh, I can't believe that this shit happened though. It's magical. So. That's that. Take it for what it is. Let's go ahead and transition on because this is spot number 2 of our top 5 lists of for Bait of the Week, and we have news about some changes coming to Bait of the Week right after this.
Jigs and Bigs, Bait of the Week.
Metal Jones Shaman, he says, "Oh yeah, the Louisiana hot sauce is the way to go." Though I agree. I think Louisiana hot sauce is fantastic. A little high in the sodium though. That's the only thing for me. I'm a little bit more of a Crystal fan for Louisiana stuff. Anyway, we're on a tangent already. So folks, here's what's going to happen. We're not going to round out the entire last two spots right now. We're going to do this week as number 2, and then number 1 will be next week. But then after this, Bait of the Week is going away. And what's coming in its place?
Gear of the week.
We're just going to try to expand things a little bit. We're going to include baits, obviously, plastics, terminal tackle, whatever. But we're going to extend beyond that. If we want to talk about rods, accessories, organizational tools, I mean, shit, we could talk outboards, trolling motors, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to just try to expand that a little bit. We might even talk like fishing adjacent stuff, tools, things like that, creative ways to use something that you hadn't realized was perfect for fishing, but here you are using that tool and it works out great. So that's what's coming up. That's in 2 weeks. You guys will hear the gear, which means I get to make a new open.
You do.
I do. I get to make a new open. I feel like
Will I actually be included in this one?
you will be. And actually, while I'm doing that, I'm going to redo the Just the Tip one as well.
Oh, perfect.
I'm going to redo the Just the Tip. Obviously, we're going to have to retire that one and start brand new, but it's gonna be a thing. So I'm thinking that we should include this sound effect in the Gear of the Week. What do you call it? The Gear of the Week open. I've had that sitting in the background for technical difficulties forever, and I've just never used it, and I don't really know why.
I like it. I think that's the one.
I think that's the Gear of the Week. Tim Bender says, nice. I have a lot of questions. Fire them in there. Fire them in that comment section. Let's go ahead and talk about it. All right. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna jump to the front of the line because I am a degenerate, and I'm gonna tell you guys right off the bat. Number 2 for me is a 3 to 5 inch paddle tail swim bait. 3 to 5 inch. I carry a wide variety of colors and different. That's the window of the lengths, really. I have a kind of a notebook dedicated to paddle tail swim baits where I keep 3 to 5 inch ones in there, and generally they are pretty damn good. Like I can get it done with those. I got it done this week with one, or at Camp Hookset with one. The only bass I managed to catch was on one. So I'm a big fan. It's definitely a go-to. Everything will eat them. And that's a big part of the reason why I think about it. But and when I get to my number 1, they're very closely related. And some of you could probably already guess my number 1. But there's a difference between the two that's pretty significant. That 3 to 5 inch paddle tail, though, is great in so many different facets. Throw it on a jig head, real simple. Just throw it weightless on an EWG hook. You can rig it on. I've rigged them on wobblehead jigs. Wobblehead football jigs. I've rigged them on underspins. Obviously, use them as trailers for a bunch of different jigs that are out there. A bunch of different profile or baits that are available. For me, that is my number 2. I love it. Whether it's an exposed hook or it's keel weighted and Texas rigged, I'm all about it. I love it. What about you guys?
Joe, hit it. What do you got?
Yeah. My number 2. Jerk baits.
Jerk baits. Gotcha.
Jerk baits. That's my number 2.
Yep.
A lot of people hold off. A lot of people use them, early spring, late fall. I use those things all year round.
Guilty.
I love them.
Yep.
I've caught a ton of fish on them. I can use them really well when they're sitting in the when they're suspended or anything like that. I can keep them right above them, get some kind of reactionary bite from them. But I also just keeps you active too. My ADD, it lets me continue to be doing something. The only thing I will fish them all year. I will just obviously change the way I fish them. Obviously, in that cold water, I slow it way down. I pause for much longer. But I love that you go to jerk it again. There's already a fish on there. And you're just like, wham. I just love jerk baits. I've had a lot of luck with them the last couple of years. I caught my PB Smalley on one. Was that this year? No, that was last year. I caught my PB Smalley on them, and yeah, I just love them. My when it comes to brand and whatnot, I was kind of a mega bass whore, but I have converted over to A-Bay. I strictly throw A-Bay's jerk baits now. Their blank is very, very, very close to that mega bass blank, but yeah, with those paint jobs, he sent me ones of different depths that are like the +1s, +2s that mega bass does, so I can kind of screw around. I will throw around the 6 cents provokes as well. I also like those, and yeah, that's my number 2, jerk baits, jerk baits.
Joe, are yours all suspending, or you throw some floating ones too?
I don't typically. I've never really got into floating jerk baits. Most of them are suspending, but I will also slow sink. I will throw slow sink.
Those provokes are all slow sink.
Yeah. Yep. That's
I never
when
realized
I throw the
that.
provokes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I never realized that. I was like, I always thought they were suspending, and then there was a list of jerk baits. I think Andrew from Tackle Talk did this, and he broke them all down, and I was just like, are they? And I looked into it. I was like, fuck, they are. They're all slow sink.
Yeah, I use those a lot when I'm fishing ledges. So I'll use.
Yep, that's a great spot to use them. Yeah.
Yep.
One of the things I always think about with jerk baits is there's always, and it goes for a lot of lures, there's always how do I put this? A popular way to use them. So like, I can't tell you guys how much success I've had with using a floating or a suspending in extremely shallow water, in extremely cold water, ripping that thing fucking so fast that my arm hurts. Not slow. I'm talking ice out water. So we're talking, just getting to 40 degrees, and I will work jerk baits so fucking fast. It's almost like a lipless crankbait, but you can't get a lipless crankbait into 3 feet of water, but you can get a floating jerk bait, and I will rip them so fast. It's almost like, I don't even know how fast, like think as fast as you can go and then double it. So instead of like jerk, pause, jerk, pause, I'm reeling as I'm jerking. It's going jerk. Like, it's amazing how that draws strikes in shallow, cold water, right after ice out.
You think that's nuts. More of a reactionary strike?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can see where
they're there.
Yeah, I can see where that would work. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I think that a bass's brain, like, when it's, it's one thing to get that bite when that's what they're keyed in on and they're eating it. And then there's that reaction bite where you just have to, you almost force it,
Yeah, you should. I mean, you guys would see how fast I work this shit in cold water, and you would be blown away. Like, what are you doing? And it turns up with fish. It's amazing. But it's my turn now.
Yes.
And we're going to talk. I'm going to do a little preaching. I'm going to get preachy, folks. Believe it or not, I'm going to get a little preachy, and it has to do with a fishing log. A fishing log. My number 2 bait would not be on my list had I not maintained a fishing log and looked at it and saw the anomaly that it was and started using it again, picked it back up.
Yep.
My fishing log, I had only caught 2 fish on this bait for years, and both of them were over 17 inches. All right. And I looked at that and said, do I want to keep continuing to put this bait in my box when I'm only catching this many fish on it? I had hundreds of fish on plastics of this type or that type, and God knows how many fish on spinner baits. And this one bait only had 2 fish, and they were both big, and I kept them. And I refined my technique with them. And now I do not go anywhere without them. And honestly, they've replaced spinner baits for me. I'm actually considering not carrying spinner baits at all anymore because this bait is so good. And that would be the bladed jig.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be on there.
I use the Chatterbait Elite Pro models. I use the Striking Thunder Cricket in a couple different sizes. And it's one particular paint job. And I use Picasso shock blades. On top of that, I do use Matt Thayer's Klondike custom baits, his chatterbait as well. And I know chatterbait at this point is akin to the word Windex, but bladed jigs.
Yeah.
The damage I can do with a bladed jig and a weed bed and any sort of wind is phenomenal. I love doing it. I love pulling them through weeds. I love these baits, and to couple it very nicely with Bobby, with your number 2 bait, the only trailer I use is a 4-inch Kitech swim bait.
Yep.
That's it for all of them. I used to use, again, a niche bait that not many people use. As a matter of fact, I did see some today when I was at Cabela's. They don't even sell them individually at Cabela's. You have to order them individually through the pack. Not individually.
Oh.
You have to order them by themselves through Mr. Twister. Is the split double tail. So it's not a twin tail grub. It's a 4-tail grub. And I've used those as it really slows them down. I know we've talked about it before, so he's not going to get upset with me saying this. Nelson likes to use craw trailers on his, but all I use is a 4-inch Kitech swing impact. That's it for a trailer. And they're phenomenal. I take that back. On the Thunder Cricket and on the bigger ones, and on the, I like using a 1-ounce Picasso shock blade, which I was talking about with you today on the drive home.
Yep.
I throw that on a fucking medium heavy 7-foot musky rod.
Yeah.
And then bait caster of my choice, usually with 20-pound test. I do that in Minnesota because both bass and pike hammer these things in the upper Midwest. Hammer them. And I'll use for a trailer, I'll use a Z-Man razor shad.
Is the blade larger on the 1 ounce or no?
Yes.
Oh, it is.
It's enormous.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right.
You have to buckle up when you throw those things. It shakes you to your core. Usually what I'll do is I'll have to alternate throwing that and then throwing something else because my arm will fall off. It's nasty.
There's a fantastic bladed jig in the Dark Horse tackle box, Tim. Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, congratulations on your golden ticket, you lucky son of a bitch.
Yes. Well, we're well aware of that, Tim.
Yeah.
We actually did cover it a little bit earlier in the show. I know you jumped in midway, but the shock blade, the 1/2-ounce shock blade showed up in the Dark Horse tackle box this month. And, like I said, my 1/2 ounce, I usually pick up the Z-Man Chatterbait Elites.
Yep.
But I did get a good color in this Picasso shock blade, so I'll give that a whirl. And
give it a rip.
Yeah, those are, like I said, I would not have known to continue using that lure had I not looked at my data and said, I'm only catching big fish with this lure, even though there's only 2 of them. I need to keep them in my box.
Yeah.
And I do. And it's been a bonanza since.
That is awesome.
So, yep.
Sweet.
There you go.
We only have one more bait on this list. And you guys, this will be interesting. I honestly expected a bladed jig to be your number 1, Sean.
Nope, that's going to be, that's not it. Nope, my number 1 is actually my number 1. I did organize these
in that order.
I organized them by number of big fish over 17 inches I've caught since 2009. I just went right off my graph. So keep a log, people. Every fish you catch, it will help you catch more fish.
Yep.
And bigger fish.
Yep.
So
I love it.
That's all I can say.
I friggin' love it. I got something. Now, we'll save this for the third segment right here. I had a great conversation this week with amazing friend of the show, the one and only Ellie Noel. And I got to run something by you guys and see what you think. They don't let this. We'll talk later. Guys, next segment, we've got Jeremy Seabolt talking about the Seabolt Squad. If you're big on TikTok, you probably are already following them over there. They're a family in Kansas City area that is just out there hammering it together, all of them. And their 8-year-old son, Brantley, is just freaking so into this. Like, you thought Vinny was into fishing when we had him on? Now, Brantley is like he's taking it like to that next level, and I'm pretty sure that Jeremy is kind of like honing his co-angler for future tournaments. I genuinely think that's where this is going. Guys, we'll see you in a short bit. Don't go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. Hey guys, I often get a lot of really good feedback about my beard. Lots of times people actually will ask about what I use for beard care products too. For a long time, it was nothing other than a brush. But things have changed and my beard is styled better and much healthier than it's ever been before. The main reason for this is that I started using beard care products from livebearded.com. Right now, I'm using Live Bearded's beard wash, the conditioner, oil, and the beard butter. I'm also using their bar soap too. In all matching scents, I should add. The products are 100% natural and they don't leave your beard feeling weighted down or crusty. I've discovered livebearded.com on Instagram and ordered their sample pack of 6 different scents to figure out which one I like the best. I really enjoy the Gunslinger and American scents most. I've been using the sample kit and I really enjoy it, and I've upped it and gotten a full lineup of all their products in the scents that I like. I realized the level of quality that wasn't there in other products that I've tried before. It really did make a huge difference. So I've got a special offer for you. Visit livebearded.com and use my code ROASTBEEF, all one word with no spaces, and you'll receive a 10% discount on your order at checkout. Try the sampler kit for just $10 or go all out and get the full lineup of great products. There's kits available too, and they're great for gifts. And you can even sign up for a subscription. Save a little bit of money, and you'll also find that you won't run out of your favorite beard care products. Check out livebearded.com right now and use the promo code ROASTBEEF to save some cash and look like the epic beardsman you are. Jigs and Bigs is your favorite fishing podcast, right? Why not show the world how much you love the show while directly supporting us? We have men's and ladies' shirts, hoodies, and a variety of hats. We even have a waterproof outdoor Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your favorite podcast while out on the water if you like. Check out jigsandbigs.com/shop to visit the store and gear yourself up. If you really can't get enough of this show, consider becoming a jighead and joining our Patreon. It's a subscription that gives you exclusive access to recording sessions that allow you to engage with us as we record the show. We also have some exclusive content there just for our jigheads and even have some special promo codes. Space is limited, so join now at jigsandbigs.com. Finally, if you're local to our area in Western Massachusetts, consider checking out the Western Mass Fishing Report, posted weekly at northeastwildwoman.com. We have amazing contributors providing great content and info for local conditions and what's been going on and working recently. Jigs and Bigs, so much more than just 2 lightly roasted hippies trapped in the 90s arguing on the internet about fishing. Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here. We have a brand new interview segment for you. Man, I'm telling you, I'm so psyched. We just get on this train of all these guests coming on the show, and I love it talking to different folks, which is always awesome. Guys, today we have a guest coming from the Kansas City area here. It's Jeremy Seabolt, and Jeremy is the patron, the father of this family of anglers in the Kansas City area, the Seabolt Squad Fishing Team. That's how we're going to refer to him now. Jeremy has... Well, you know, I mean, all 3 of us on the show, Jeremy, we're all dads. You know, we fish with our kids as much as they'll kind of allow us to, some more than others. Right. You know, and you know, kids, they all kind of fit in a different area. And I love in the pre-show notes, you kind of dove in there and kind of explained the dynamic between your son and your daughter as far as their fishing, you know, interest and where it's at, because that's a reality I think all kinds of parents have to deal with. I feel like we jumped right into it.
Hey man, absolutely. Getting into the heart pullers already. Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a ton of fun. Brantley really just started getting into bass fishing about a year ago. Yep. So we started taking him more, and you know, as we were going more, you know, big sister wanted to start coming along, mom wanted to start coming along, and I said, well, hey, let's make a thing of it. And it was funny to watch how everybody really just fell into their own roles. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's really cool. Miley's not as into fishing as her younger brother is, but I mean, she'll be the first one to tell you what lure to throw, or she's always down for mom. Take my picture. How does this pose look? We get into it, and I think it speaks mountains that a kid doesn't have to say take me fishing to enjoy fishing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like they don't have to nag you to go and do it. And he's into watching the tournaments and stuff. It's what you were saying earlier.
Oh yeah, he'll be the one to tell me, Dad, we got a new tournament on the DVR. Have you watched it yet? He's huge into following Elite Series.
Really?
Asking about it. He'll say all the time when we see a boat, it's not a dang I want a boat. It's a Daddy. When I win a boat, this is what we're gonna do.
This is what we're gonna. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's got it figured out. He's got a passion that really can't be taught.
Yep.
And he sees it from a fundamental level, even at 8 years old.
Yeah,
he knows.
That's great.
Yeah, he knows what he needs to do. He knows what steps he needs to take, and really, it's helped across the board. His school is better because he wants to go fishing. His grades are good because he wants to fish at a collegiate level after high school. And I'm like, dude, you're in third grade.
Yeah, you're in third grade. You got a long way to go. But that's really good because his priorities are in order for what he wants, the goals that he has at such a young age. Like he sees that there's a path, and that goes a long way. But let's do a little something we like to do here on the show. And we're just going to zoom out just a little bit here because I'm making a broad assumption. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that your interest in fishing kind of spurred some of this at some point. Would I be accurate with that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I had a friend of mine reach out to me towards the beginning of this year.
Yep.
Asking me to come out and co-angle for him. And, I had just started getting back into fishing again. I kind of got sucked up into the adult life and work and kids and the wife and all that. And I wasn't really fishing as much as I did when I was younger. And I said, yeah, that would be fun. It'll get us out of the house. Let's do it. And, got a couple of jerseys ordered, went out, started fishing some tournaments, coming back with tournament stories and things like that. And I think that's really when he started asking a lot of questions about it. Anytime I would have it on TV, his eyes would be glued. Yeah. And, he'd ask me, Daddy, is that what you do? And I said, man, not yet.
Yeah, we're trying.
That's it. Yeah, we're all trying. But after doing that and telling those stories and really getting the tackle gear back up again, started taking him along. And honestly, I put a lure in his hand and he was catching fish the same day.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy for me. I can tell you, I didn't catch my first bass on a lure until about 14 years old.
That's what I'm saying. Like, most kids his age, they're not out targeting any species. Like they're just looking for a bite, period. And that's awesome. Now we recently had a young man, he's 12, Vinny. He's a friend of a friend of the show, and he I said, let's have him on. This guy, this little guy has more personality, but it's wild. Like, and to be even 4 years younger than that, Brantley being so into it and dialed. So let's zoom out a little bit further though, and talk about where did you get your start when it came to fishing? And then I know, like, we hear the story a lot, and you kind of mentioned it, how you kind of fell out of it and then came back into it, because that's exactly what happened to me. And there's a lot of folks that are like that they just kind of get distracted. So tell us your sort of story, how we got up to this point.
Yeah, so I've been fishing really as long as I can remember. Some of my first memories with my family was with a fishing pole in my hand. And, I was raised pretty much by a single mom.
Yep.
Who really wasn't a fisherwoman. That wasn't her thing. But she stepped up to the plate and she saw that, I had a passion for it. And huge. She was taking off of work. She was taking me on fishing trips. I always tell people I didn't go to my high school prom. I went down to the Gulf of Mexico and caught some stingrays.
Dude, that's awesome.
She's the one who really said, hey, if you're into this, it keeps you out of trouble. I'm going to do everything that I can to keep you into it.
Yep. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And it's really just been a major part of my life. My best friend, we've been best friends, gosh, it's going to make me feel kind of old, but for almost 20 years. he was really into bass fishing. And, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, I mean, that wasn't the cool thing to do. There wasn't, there was the guys, Mike Iaconelli, Kevin Van Dam, Hank Parker, Bill Dance that were doing big things. But
sure,
I mean, for a high school kid, it really wasn't like the cool thing to do. And when I met my best friend, he's the one who, when I was 14, really got me into it because his dad fished some tournaments down in the Dallas area. And which is where I'm from.
Gotcha.
And ever since, I became friends with him. And I mean, every chance we got, we were fishing, bass fishing. He taught me how to fish lures. He taught me what to look for.
That's priceless.
And really, yeah. And into my early adult life, I was fishing as often as I could. If I wasn't working or sleeping, I was fishing.
Yep.
But yeah, then like you said, life kind of happens and we get busy. And it was really my wife too, gave me a big push when I was talking about getting back into fishing and doing tournament fishing. She could have said, no, I need you here.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have time for you to go out and, be gone for 2 days a week.
Yep.
But, she said, hey, go for it. She said, this is something that you like. I really think that you should, because I almost talked myself out of it a couple times.
Yeah.
And she
it's
said,
easy
no, go for it. Yeah. She said, go for it. She's been my biggest supporter. Anytime we need time to go fishing, she kind of makes that happen. So that's kind of my story, really, and how I got into bass fishing. It's just always been a part of my life, for as long as I can remember. And now that I get to pass that on and watch that continue through Brantley and through Miley and through my wife too. I mean, that's just full circle. I mean, that's what we do it for.
That's freaking awesome, dude. And I mean, just huge round of applause for that. That's so commendable. The other cool thing too is like, really, in a way, you're kind of grooming your future co-angler. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it's
absolutely,
it's a good thing, And I mean, that's absolutely badass. So let's talk about, because there was one thing we initially talked, and when you told me about your online presence with the Seabolt Squad Fishing and how there were kids involved, and you first had mentioned, you're like, oh yeah, we'd love to get on and talk on Jigs and Bigs. I said, just an FYI, we're one of those shows. It's definitely more adult oriented, but you raised a really, really good point about, a big part of what you do is focusing on talking from the parent side. And getting them on there. Now we had, it was actually that episode that we had Vinny on. We had in our Just the Tip segment that week. We talked about, as three of us as fathers, talking about how fishing is involved with our kids, like sort of the journey they had with it. I've got two daughters. One of them just turned 19. One's 13. I just asked my 13-year-old today. I was like, hey, you want me to throw the other kayak on my trailer and we'll go out and we'll fish tonight? And she was just like,
I'm gonna pass, Dad. Maybe another day.
And she's just not feeling it right now. I mean, we have other stuff that we sort of bond on. She recently discovered like heavy metal music and like,
right on.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. We've had a blast with that, which is cool. She caught her first bass at like 7 or 8. I mean, she was young. Yeah, I think she was in second grade. And it was amazing. She won't hold them. My 19-year-old will fish with me, and she's much more independent as far as the techniques. My youngest is great with a spinning combo, no problem. But I actually was able to teach my older daughter how to use a bait caster, and I was really impressed that she even had the patience to deal with it and to make it work. I was really, really impressed with her. But now she'll she'll catch a bass and take it off and hold it and pose for a picture and everything. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And this coming from a kid who genuinely wanted to go out and fish with me, but got distracted by playgrounds every time. I would just let her do what she wanted to do. And if she wanted to catch some fish, great, I was here for it. If not, I just keep an eye on her while she was on the playground and, make sure no creepers were around or anything like that. Her first time out fishing with me, she caught a boot, and then eventually she did catch bass. I mean, she started catching bass, but much, much later. And, while the passion isn't there to like the extent where I love to fish, I fish multiple times a week. She'll come out, a couple times a year, and for her, that's awesome. That's great. I'm willing to kind of go with that. In fact, I had recently asked if she and a couple of her friends wanted to come out on a kayak trip with me, which she has never done. So that could be interesting. But let's. I'm not here to talk about that. What I want to know from you are the tips as far as fishing with family. Like, what would you advise somebody who's never fished with their family? How they should prepare for it? What they should keep in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first and foremost, it kind of goes without saying, right? Know your kids. Know what they like. Know what they're into. If you've never gone fishing before, bring it up to them. Hey, would you want to go fishing with me? If they hit you with no, I'm chilling, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
Make it appeal to them. Miley will do that to us. So I kind of just want to play my switch. But, if I tell her, you sure you don't want to come out? It's going to be beautiful outside, good weather. You can get some good pictures with mom. Then she's all for it.
Exactly.
And then next thing you know, she's out there. She's watching Brantley do his thing. And then it's, hey, Brantley, can I see your pole? Can I make a few casts?
Yeah.
And then she's next thing you know, she's right there in it, But to what you said, too, there are those days where when we go out there, she finds the playground or she'll sit down and, just look out over everything or dance around. Heck, just yesterday we were out at a pond. Me and Brantley were fishing. I looked over and Miley and mom were over there doing yoga on the hill,
That's awesome.
You never know, but you gotta make it appeal to them to make them want to come out, because of course they're going to want to chill at home, watch TV, play video games, because that's the obvious choice. But if you present them with something they might not have thought about, like, the good weather or other things that you could do besides just fishing, then it's okay, well, yeah, I think I do want to go. And before you know it, they're asking, hey, are you going fishing today? Can I come with you?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Crazy.
They start to look forward to it. And it's so interesting. It's one thing that I try to advocate a lot is that fishing is different things for different folks. There are astounding numbers of people who just fish simply for the recreation. For some folks, it's not even about catching any fish. It's just about getting away from everything and getting outside on a regular sort of basis and going for it. For other folks, they're super competitive, and for them, there's tournament angling, and there's things that they can do. There's content creation. There's a variety of different elements, and it can be any of those things to anybody in a different part of their life. So if it means you're going out with if it means that, you're from the competitive standpoint and you want to be out there, tracking all of your catches and you're pre-fishing for a tournament or something. But if you can get your kids out with you, enjoying nature and fishing to the extent that they want, it happens all the time. We hear from our co-host, who the fuck is Joe Brown, who he'll say all the time, he's got a 4-year-old daughter and they'll go out fishing and he's just like, he's like, I'm prepared with coloring books or her tablet, even if she wants to, sit and, play around with her tablet or something. And she'll be perfectly content making, a handful of casts here and there, hanging her feet off the boat, in the water or just sitting there and coloring in her coloring book or whatever it is that she's doing. And I think that that's great. You got to give them that sort of freedom. Because I can remember it was a different story when I was a kid, there would be fishing trips and of course, like most kids, I would get bored and it was just, I was not necessarily having a good time. And it's, I think that, if you offer that up and you give them the freedom to do what they want to do, then it's great. It's a little bit more challenging. Like if you're taking 6 hours to go and pre-fish,
right.
That's a bit of a different animal, I mean, you might want to pack a whole lot of snacks and, be ready for all that stuff. But I think that's awesome. So let's talk about the content creation side of it. What is it that you guys are producing? Because I know that your primary focus right now is TikTok. That's right?
Yep. So primarily on TikTok, it started with Brantley wanting us to videotape his fishing adventures really and putting them up, and I told him, he said put it on TikTok. I said what's a talk tick, and he kind of told me about it, and I said, oh, okay. Well, I said I'll run it and I'll put some stuff up for you, sure. And we started posting videos of Brantley just out doing his thing. He's the funniest kid in the world, and it blew up. I mean, it went from, wow, we're at 500 followers to telling my wife, babe, I think we're going to hit 1,000 followers. And I mean, now we're looking at hitting 5,000 followers.
That's awesome. And
and really continuing from there.
When did you guys start?
So we started at the beginning of this summer.
No kidding.
I want to say, well, not the beginning of the summer. I would say we probably started in July.
Really?
First week of July. Yeah, it's been super recent. And
That's awesome.
yeah, we started getting all these followers, and then we started getting reached out to by, people who are doing big things like making their own baits and stuff like that as side hustles or hobbies, and asking us, hey, can we send you this? Can you show your following what we do? And one thing that has always been really, really near and dear to Kristen and I is supporting, small businesses. For sure. Encouraging people to hit up these people who are, really in it for the passion.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good trip to Bass Pro, but
for sure,
supporting and getting their names out there. And I mean, we're up to, probably 30 different bait codes now that we work with.
That's so great, dude.
And get to test out. Yeah, test out and try out new lures, which has been really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we it's an interesting balance. If you go on our page, it'll be, there's a little bit of promo stuff, shouting out some people who are doing some big things.
Sure.
One that I just have to shout out super quick is one that we work with is Sasquatch Outdoors. Their mission is to get kids with special needs fishing trips.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I can't get enough of it. So anytime we get a chance to work with them and showcase something, we do it. So you have the promo side of things, but then you have Brantley's side of things, and then the Mom and Miley side too, where Brantley's able to put into ways like a kid will understand what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Speak fluent 8-year-old, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Brantley can say, hey, here's the lure I'm using, here's what I'm doing, whether it be, he'll tell you I'm bouncing it off the bottom, or I'm slow reeling it deep, or I'm popping it on the top.
Yep.
He knows all these things, but he can put it in a way that is just, I feel like a little kid can understand.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think having both of those aspects of it, of showcasing what the small business, hardworking American people are out there doing,
mm-hmm.
but then also what the kids are capable of doing and how much fun they can have at it, I think really is something that captivates people.
That's awesome.
I think it's two different important things that really we're super humbled really at the whole thing. This was just going to be a for fun thing that we did for a little while, and we have super honored to be here. We have Bass Angler Magazine doing an article on us.
No kidding.
It's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy times right now.
That's awesome.
Fun, though.
Good for you. I mean, with the content like that, that's so multifaceted. You kind of cover it from a bunch of different angles. And I mean, the one thing there, and this is the thing about content creation that I think is the best part. And it was Debo. I don't know if you're familiar with Debo Fishing. He's a YouTuber who has an audience that they love this guy. He's a great dude.
Oh, yeah.
We've had him on the show a couple of times. And it was he kind of got me thinking about this, that like really when you're creating content, you're creating a database of questions. And as anybody who has a family, like your memories are kind of fallible, so having a collection of pictures and, videos, and even if you're sharing them online, of course, go ahead and share that stuff. But you also can go back and look at that. So let's say, 4, 6, 10 years down the road, an 18-year-old Brantley can look back at these and go, yeah, he's going to look back and think they're cringy as hell, I'm sure. But at the same time, you're going to see the development. You're going to see there's a lot that you can take away from it. And it's stuff that'll keep those memories as fresh as possible. And that's, from the family side of things, that's immeasurable value right there.
Yeah, it's so true, because even my wife and I will say, we like to scroll through like some of the first videos that we posted on TikTok. And I mean, looking at and watching Brantley in those videos versus watching him in the videos now.
Yeah.
I mean, you really can. It helps you really physically see the changes that you might not notice on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. So let's get a little geeky with the gear here. I'm curious. So the whole family goes out and fishes. You do some tournament fishing. I'm going to assume that you're geared up like a tournament angler. Like you've got a variety of combos that you probably utilize, and some of yours that are the workhorses that you're always choosing, but some stuff that's particularly, I would say, matched to a specific job. With that said, now, because I know with kids, and I was this kid when I was a little kid, I was crazy about the gear. Not so much the rods or the reels, but the baits. And the more you learn about the baits and different presentations, like you start to realize that there's optimal setups to throw the stuff on, and then there are stuff that slowly are not ideal, that kind of get away from that. Of course, you can throw almost anything on almost anything, but you're going to you might not get the optimal performance out of that. So let's talk about not so much your gear. Let's talk about what you're using with Brantley, because it sounds like he's pretty dialed. Like, what's his go-to setup or setups like?
Yeah, he definitely is. So he fishes pretty much a proficiency. We have a couple of proficiency spin casts that we use.
Yep.
We have a Abu Garcia Z-Max that he really likes.
Nice.
And he's actually pretty much got down the Abu Garcia Black Max bait caster.
That's great. It's a great bait caster to learn on. It really is.
It really is. To this day, I mean, I have some nice ones and some, quote unquote, nicer ones.
Sure.
But, it's my favorite one too. It's an absolute workhorse.
Yeah.
But no, he loves his spinning rods. He wants to use the bait caster more. But I tell him, let's keep practicing on it first.
Yeah, absolutely.
The baits that I like using for Brantley, what I used a lot when we were first getting started with them was the Ned Rig and the Cinco.
Oh yeah, can't miss.
You can't go wrong with those. I mean, you can fish them slow, you can fish them fast.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter a whole lot. And so I think that those lures and working that got him in the lure mindset, right?
Yeah.
That you're not just throwing it out there and waiting for something to swim by and pick it up. You got to do something with it.
Yep.
And then from that, once he started getting that down and, could really tell that, okay, he knows the difference between a bite and, just the resistance from the baits and things like that.
Yep.
We started kind of branching out into some other lures. Rattle traps were a great one for him to learn. He loves using rattle traps. Swim baits. Swim baits are a favorite among all of us, really. We call them around here. We say we got our swimmies. All kinds. I use all the way up, the Mega Bass, big swims down to, little Z-Man swims for Ned Rig. We use them all, and I like watching Brantley do the swim baits because that's another one that, you can fish it fast, you can fish it slow off the bottom, you can fish it like Cinco. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do with the swim baits, and then we kind of just have been expanding off of that. He just caught his first bass a couple weeks ago on a jerk bait. He was pretty excited about that. He's a big fan of crankbaits too. Another, really the slow presentations and the cast and retrieves. I mean, I think those are the best baits to get the younger generations into. Brantley fishes poppers and buzz baits and things like that also.
Yep.
But I think we're still mastering that one a little bit. I really thought we were going to get him his first popper bass this morning. They were busting, but I think we were too late for that.
Yep.
But that's kind of what we use, and then really letting them pick. I don't try to let my knowledge or my experience influence what they think is going to work.
Exactly.
Brantley knows enough to know what he gets bid on and what he doesn't. And so, we took him to Pro Shop for his birthday back in July, and he knew how much money he had. We let him lead us. We said, here's the fishing stuff. He's asking us, all right, Dad, where's the chatterbaits at? Where's the swim baits at? And I mean, he's going through and he's picking them out.
That's so awesome.
And instead of telling, I don't think that's going to work where we're at. We're building them up. Hey man, that might work. And I can tell you experience. They've picked out some baits. They being my daughter, my son, and my wife.
Yep.
Picked out baits. Those are gimmick baits. Ain't going to catch nothing. And I've been outfished with them. So, it's really fun. And I think that kids don't get enough credit. I think that, they might not be able to put it into words, but they understand a little bit more about the process than we might give them credit.
No, you're absolutely right. And they're sponges, for the knowledge, so when you give them the opportunity the freedom to fool around and choose their own presentations and to pick things, like it gives them, if they make a decision or a mistake, like it resonates a little bit more. And I feel like they retain it a bit more when they've chosen something. I'll tell you, it's like my youngest daughter, the first fishing trip I had taken her out on, she asked to go fishing. She saw how into it I was. And this is great. She goes, I told her, I said, I'm actually gonna buy a spinning combo to keep around the house for you, your mom, your sister. If you're gonna come out, like it'll be your combo. She's like, okay, cool. So I put together just a small spinning combo, like a 7-foot medium with I think what reel. It doesn't matter what reel it was. Anyway, I said to her, I was like, what do you want to fish with? Like, what type of presentation do you think you want to use? Because I figured if I let her choose something and, we could deal with her not getting bid on it later, but at least if we went out and we tried it, then it would kind of keep her a little bit more interested. She goes, Dad, I want to throw a jig. And I'm like, you want to throw a jig? I love that. Let's go ahead and do that. So I picked up a couple of like really small, I actually had a bunch of like Terminator finesse jigs, 1/4 ounce jigs. Okay. And I gave her one. I said, you pick the color. What do you want? And she picked a PB&J. And we put a little June bug trailer on there. And I think it was our 4th or 5th cast. She caught like an 11 or 12 inch largemouth and was delighted.
Oh, wow.
She was so happy. Great picture. She wouldn't hold it, so I had to hold it in the picture and, take everything. She was so excited. But after she got that fish, she was done. She's like, okay, cool. We fished. Let's go home.
That's it.
That was it. She's like, I got one. Check. And she was like, let's just get out of here. And I said, really? You're done? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, I go, all right, that's fine. So why don't we go out and we'll go get some breakfast? She says, now that's something I can get behind. So we went out, we got breakfast and everything. And that's one thing about this show. We always kind of veer off into the food category here. And you live, I think you live in a great food city. I think you do.
Oh, we do.
And
absolutely.
With that said, I want to know, like, where are you taking the family when either somebody's like just absolutely killed it and you're taking them out to celebrate, or the other side of it when you're leaving?
We'll start with our skunk set stop. We're real big on it. If we've been out grinding for a few hours, whole family not getting bit, you got to stop off and get yourself a Sonic drink on the way home.
Oh, fair. Yeah, that's a smart idea.
You got to stop, get yourself a Sonic drink, get you some ice cream. But on the flip side of that, we have, Kansas City, right? There's so many good places to choose from.
Oh, yeah.
As far as food goes, one place that me and my family, it's not barbecue related, but you see, I'm from Texas, so I still say Texas has the best barbecue.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're conflicted with barbecue.
Oh, it's funny. I'm surprised I've made it out of some places after saying that, the looks I got.
Oh, I believe it.
There's a pizza place here in Kansas City. It's called Minsky's. And I absolutely love going there because it is geared for the entire family. I mean, They got sports up on the TVs. They got good food. They got a little arcade section back for the kids to go blow off whatever steam they didn't blow off out at the lake.
Yep.
We love it. But then also we're big home cooks. We like, my mom was always cooking something. My wife's family always cooking something. Grandparents always cooking something. So, we're big on, we have our Sunday roast every Sunday. Yep. We do barbecue at home. We do tacos. I mean, we're big foodies. If it's good, we're trying it out.
I love that. And I'm taking notes. We'll be hitting up these spots when I'm in your area for sure.
I'm telling you, and Minsky's Pizza, and Sonic's, they're nationwide, but they're good for the soul.
Now, I'm curious because you probably know Brantley the best, but I'm going to ask you this question first. What are the top 3 people that you would love to fish with? They can be living or dead. They can be celebrities. They could be anglers. They could not be anglers. I mean, it's a wide open question. Who are 3 people that you would love to fish with?
Well, I mean, I got to go with the obvious person first. I would love to fish with Bill Dance.
Hell
that would be an experience, go from watching him every Saturday morning to to meeting him would be a bucket list thing for me.
Oh, definitely.
Second person I would really love to go fishing with there. Unfortunately, I never got the chance. So my mom's grandfather, I heard, is who got her into fishing as a child.
Oh, really?
He ran a dairy farm out in Bryan, College Station, Texas.
Yep.
And they had some ponds out there, and I grew up hearing stories about them going out there and, bass fishing or crappie fishing, or cat fishing. And one of the things that always stuck out to me is my mom would say, when we go fishing with Papa, we walk out to one of his ponds, and Papa was not a patient man. He had a lot to do. He was 5 minutes in a spot. If he didn't get bit, y'all were going to a different spot on the pond.
Smart.
To catch it. And I even remember as a kid thinking, man, I would have loved to have some of those experiences.
For sure.
And then, gosh, really, this is going to sound kind of corny, but I mean, the third person is people I already get to fish with. And I absolutely love with my family. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And having a wife that's so supportive, and then kids that are so into it and share how I feel, I mean, hands down, you can have the rest. I'll keep my crew.
For sure. Now, what about Brantley? Because I'm sure it's come up before. Like, you have an idea of who some of the anglers are, the people that he's interested in. So, what do you think for him?
Oh yeah, well so not only do we watch the current tournament trails and stuff like that, we watch some of the older YouTube videos and things like that of some of the Elite Series back in the day. And, anybody who watched, the Elite Series, Mike Iaconelli in his prime, with how hype he got about everything, Brantley loves him.
Yeah.
So, meeting Mike Iaconelli would be a big one. Gerald Swindell is another one that he loves, watching him do his thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure he plays them. And honestly, I would say the last person that he'd want to go fishing with would be Kid Danger from Nickelodeon.
Kid Danger, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I listened to him and his sister the other day get into a big argument about whether or not Kid Danger was real. And let me tell you, Brantley was not exception that he wasn't real. This kid was real, and he was out there fighting crime and doing big things.
For sure.
You couldn't tell him different.
Yeah, no. He is steadfast in his beliefs, and I like that.
Oh yeah,
I like that. That is awesome, man. Let's talk about when you guys go out and fish, are you fishing from the bank primarily, or are you getting out there, actually on the water?
Oh man, we are landlocked at the moment, which creates an interesting challenge. When it comes to fishing spots, because let me tell you, you take a family out to a new spot, if you don't get bit your first time, they're over that spot. They don't want to go back. They say we didn't catch anything when we went there. Even though you're sitting there like, man, we didn't catch anything this time, but it looks good. It looks promising.
It's got to be fishy. It looks like it can hold them.
So being landlocked, I mean, it creates its own unique challenges.
Yep.
We're looking at getting a boat, though. My wife said within the next year we can get one, so I'm going to hold her to that.
There you go.
We've been eyeing some bass trackers and things like that. Just good starter boats, enough to fit the family. But I think, being landlocked, it's going to make them, I think, really better boat anglers. Because, I mean, if you can fine-tune your skills from limited fishing access areas to unlocking an entire lake, look out.
Yeah, 100%. You can, and I think that's a big deal for any angler, no matter where you are. The second you get off the water, and it's one of those things where you do what you got to do. If you're, I was just talking with one of our guests, Lance. Lance likes to fish, and he did have a kayak at one point, and he's got to do some repairs. So he's been bank fishing primarily most of this year. And he's like, the one thing he's like that I just did. He fishes a lot of rivers and creeks. He's like, especially in the summer, I just got real comfortable with wet wading. And I think that's a brilliant way to do it. Get in that water. It's cool and it's refreshing. And it's obviously, if you're with young kids, you got to be real careful. It's around current specifically, but it's a great way to kind of get additional access and stuff. But yeah, I think for a family, of 4, a small bass boat is a great fix. It gets everybody out on the water. You throw a cooler, you fill of sodas, juice, waters, whatever, and you just make a day of it. And I think that's the move, man. And
yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. Yeah, fully agree.
The fact that Mrs. Seabolt had greenlit that's you're already a couple steps ahead. It's a good thing.
Oh yeah, she has stepped up. And it's funny because she'll tell me, before I came along, she never caught a bass on purpose.
Yep.
That she had caught a couple, river fishing, because we have the Kansas River that goes right through, or Missouri River that goes right through here.
Yep.
And, she said, I caught bass, but I didn't know they were bass. And start talking to her more about getting into it. She, I think, was a little hesitant only because it was something that was so new. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I don't know, if I'm maybe going to be as into it as you are. But, really going out there and making it fun and not sitting there and being like, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Ask her, and growing up, I say I was raised primarily by a single mom. My father was in the picture there for a little while.
Yep.
We would go fishing with him and it would be miserable. I would get screamed at and yelled at the whole time. Don't touch that. Don't do this. What are you doing?
Yep.
And I remember that, and I look back on that, and I'm like, that could have so easily just ruined this entire thing for me. I could have been like, this isn't fun. I don't want to do this, anything but this. And so you try to remember that when I'm going out with my family, that, you're not going to catch every time. It's about having fun in between the bites, And with Brantley, it's a little different with him. I'm a little harder on him now than I was maybe when we started, just because there's things that he knows to do. There's things that he knows not to do. And sometimes you got to remind him, hey, look, you know better than that. What were you doing? That's kind of silly. But there's a right and a wrong way to do that, and I think remembering that at the end of the day, getting out there, not going out there and trying to hang a 10-pounder every time you go, but going out there for the sole fact of just spending time with your family. I mean, that gets everybody into it. And I think that's really what got my wife into it.
Yep.
Was just seeing, having that family time and watching the whole family get into something. And then she got good at it along the way. There's days that we leave where she outfishes everybody.
That's awesome, because you need that,
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Because, and it's funny, she expects now, get bit every time. So if she doesn't, it's I suck at fishing again.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then got to spend a couple days, reeling her back in. Hey, no, you're good. We didn't get bit either. Now, but no, it's fun and kind of going back to something that you said, on the competitive level.
Yep.
It's funny because hear Brantley talk. He'll catch a bass. First question out of his mouth, Daddy, this be a good tournament fish? And Daddy, this be a good tournament fish?
Yep.
Or if none of us are it, he'll look at me and go, all right, Dad, which one of us is going to catch the first one? Or when we're leaving, he'll be like, dang, Daddy, you only caught 2, I caught 4.
Oh, wow. He's starting with that already.
Oh, yeah. And it goes in everybody. We'll hear my wife get out of the car like, all right, y'all ready to go get outfished by Mom? Let's go. And it's fun listening to that back and forth. I just sit back and I smile so big.
Yeah. I love that. It's that I'll tell you that is one of my favorite things too, is where I'll be out with my daughters and on the rare occasions that they'll be fishing with me, if they're getting on them. And usually, they're pretty self-sufficient now. But, years ago, not so much. So I was busy with them. But now, in the last couple of years, if I'm fishing and I'm not catching anything, but they are, it is the most fulfilling thing. And I'm just like, good for you guys. You're killing it. Good job. And then
right.
It is nice. There is that part of me where a couple of times I've been out fishing with the family and I've hooked into a biggin. And like my kids have all the nomenclature on the show is for anything that's like a 9 to a 12-inch bass, we call that a nibbler. And my kids have primarily all pretty much caught nibblers, and I've hooked into a couple of big tanks with them seeing it, and they're just like, oh my God. Or when I come home and I've got pictures of some decent fish, they're just like, holy cow. And I love it. I know that part of them is just humoring me. They're like looking at fishing pictures and stuff like that. But I mean, I think you got it made. Yeah, I think you've absolutely got it made. Just getting the whole family out there, and they're like, I mean, obviously, like their interests are going to change. Things are going to their level that they're into it. But I got a feeling Brantley's all in, like for a long time, because I think he's got a really good example.
Yeah, I think we'll be. I really think we'll be seeing his name somewhere sometime.
Yep.
I sure do.
That's amazing, man. That is absolutely amazing. So, have you guys, I mean, whether it's as a family or just yourself, have you traveled specifically with fishing as the primary reason for traveling? Like, and I'm thinking like more than 2 hours away, something like that.
Oh yeah. So.
Oh, all right.
Not
Nice.
Not as much as a family unit. Just with, gosh, me and Kristen both work full time, both in college full time, basketball, Girl Scouts, bass fishing. But when I was younger, I said that my mom really nurtured my love for fishing, and it went beyond freshwater. I grew up in Dallas, Texas, about 4 hours away from Galveston in the Gulf of Mexico. And I was super fortunate at the time. My mom was working for the company that owned Motel 6. So we could stay at Motel 6 anywhere in the country. We could go in and she'd have these vouchers. We could stay for free.
That's great.
So in the summer times when I was out of school, we were going down to the Gulf Coast probably once a month, sometimes twice a month.
Oh, that's great, man. That's a hell of a summer vacation.
Oh, yeah. We would go and we would catch, I've caught bull reds over 50 inches. I've caught kingfish over 40 inches. I've caught stingrays. I've caught sharks. I've had the experiences that I got to have that showed me just how much there is to fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
And gone down to Florida and I fished in Destin, and I've got to fish lots of places in Texas. I've fished Lake Fork a couple times, which is fun.
That's awesome.
A bucket list lake for me that I would really love to go to is actually in Mexico. I want to get out on El Salto Lake and hang like a 14-pounder.
Yeah.
I think would be so fun. But then it's interesting too, because when I moved from Texas to Kansas, when I was 20 years old when I moved.
Yep.
Fishing up here was completely different.
Totally.
I grow up learning in Texas. We have warm weather pretty much all year round. A couple weeks of cold, maybe in January, February. But coming up here where the winters are below zero, and then we get the opposite end of the spectrum too. We just got out of a week of 100 plus.
Yep.
And it was interesting when I moved up being 20 years old, not knowing as much as I know now, and it's still interesting to me now, really, about how different it was. I went from throwing big curly tail worms and lizards and buzzbaits like all day long to slowing it down and fishing jigs and Cincos and things like that up here, Ned rig. And it was just really interesting to me because, I still remember the very first bass I caught in Kansas. And that's when I told myself, I said, all right, you still got it. You're good.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. That's freaking awesome. Now, has Brantley mentioned any lakes that he would love to go? Like, does he have a bucket list lake?
I think really any lake. And he wants to get out. He wants to get out on a boat. We were fortunate enough. I was fishing a tournament out on Bone Creek Lake in Kansas a couple of months ago.
Yep.
And the boat angler was nice enough to stick around after the tournament. We were able to get Brantley and Miley out on the boat, kind of show him what the electronics look like. And just watching him, it was funny. We turned on, we didn't have, live scope or anything, but we had side imaging and all that. We turned on and watching Brantley, even though I know that he really didn't know what he was looking at, you could tell that boy was trying to understand what he was looking at.
Yeah, exactly.
Just staring. Intensely staring at it. So
that's great.
I think really, then what lake would you want to go out on? His first question would be, you mean like on a boat? And we would say, yeah. Yep. And he would say, any of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right now, let's try to fit all of them in. Can we do that? Let's try and fit them all in.
Let's go.
I would tell you, man, I think, you guys, it's not too far of a bit to travel there, but if you can make it out to Chickamauga, we got to fish with Caleb Bell, who's a guide out in Chickamauga. It was actually Alex Rudd who connected the dots, and he shared a story about Caleb, and we got to meet him. He has a guide service called Bass Quest, and what a great dude overall. Like I think the both of you would have an amazing time on this boat. I can't recommend going out with a guide enough, especially for a body of water that you've never fished before. And if you don't have a week of time to sink into it, it's a really, really great. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. He's a good dude, and you'll have an amazing time.
I'll have to keep that in mind. That's something I want to do is do a guided trip with the whole family. My mom, we grew up not far from Lake Whitney in Texas, which is a prime striper fishing lake.
Oh yeah.
We used to go out on my birthdays. We would go get striper guides to go out and catch big 20-pound stripers.
Oh yeah.
And mom would set it up. It'd be the funniest thing. We walk up to the bait shop. I don't know how I fell for this. Like 4 years running. We walk up to the bait shop and the guide would be there waiting on us. My mom wouldn't tell me we were going to meet up with the guide. I thought we were just going to fish, off the docks and stuff.
Sure.
And I would always, when I was a kid, I'd always go up and talk to the people on the boats. I'd always ask them, where are you going? What are you fishing for? And so she knew I'd go over there and talk to them. So I went over there and started talking to him, and I'd be like, Mom, this guy said we could go out on his boat. And she'd be like, I don't know about all that. You sure about that? I said, no, for real. Like, he just said, we could go. And 4 years running, I fell for that every single year.
That's great.
It was just such a fun experience. I can't wait to get out. And like you said, when you don't have time to learn a lake, why not have somebody who's been doing that lake for 5-10 years show you the ropes and really show the kids what a good day of fishing feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell, like, the trip that I took, you guys would love. We even stayed at a tackle shop.
Oh man!
In Hickson, Tennessee, there's a shop called Talk and Tackle, and they have lodging available, and it's great lodging. I think we found them. I don't know if we found them on Airbnb and we booked that way, or if we booked directly through the website, or how it worked. But let me tell you, the shop itself is amazing. and sleeping right up above it, you're like, man, I'm going to spend so much money in the morning. Cool. Yeah, it's bananas. That is wild. So, Jeremy, this is great. This is really great. I think you guys are killing it. I think you're doing awesome. There's one real kind of final question that I've got for you, and it's a two-parter. And you can give me your input and then also follow it up with any other members of the squad. Feel free to share those stories too. But what I'm looking for is two primary stories. So the first one would be like, if you're at an event, and you bumped into somebody and they said, oh, yeah, I hear you fish. That story that you're going to share with them. Generally, that's the story we're most proud of. And it might be at that moment, whenever, or wherever it is on the timeline. It might be a PB, anything like that. I want that story that you're most proud of that you would share there. And then I want, and this is the thing, if anybody's been fishing for any period of time, really, we have no shortage of stories that end with a. And I want that, the biggest epic fail. And again, you can share for everybody in the squad if you want, or just for yourself, or however you'd like to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say probably my proudest moment of fishing would have took place down in Galveston Island. Ever since watching, when I was probably 12, 13 years old, watching the Oh Boy Alberta Redfish Cup on TV.
Yep.
I wanted to catch a big redfish. I wanted to catch a bull red. I didn't want to catch, a small one. I wanted a bull red. And, when I did that, when I wanted to do that, the first time I went down to Galveston, I walked into the pier, 61st Street Pier there in Galveston, Texas, and I had my little, Walmart, I think it was a big cat pole that I had.
All right.
And I said, what bait do I need? Yeah, I said, what bait do I need to catch a big redfish? And the lady working the desk looked at me and said, you're not going to catch one with that. And I kind of took that as a challenge when she told me that. No, I didn't catch one that time. Maybe 3 or 4 trips later, I had a big surf rod out. I had since learned more about saltwater fishing. I had a big surf rod out with some cut mullet on there. and we ended up pulling in a 51-inch bull red. And the cool thing about that bull red is down there in the Gulf of Mexico, you have true bull reds, and then you have bull reds that were introduced to the waters for fishing purposes. And the way you can tell the difference is because the true ones that were born and raised in those waters, they'll have one spot on each side of their tail.
Gotcha.
The ones that were introduced will have multiple. You'll see the ones with 2, 3, 4 spots down the tail. And the bull red that I caught had the one spot on each side.
Oh wow!
And once we put the drop net down off the pier and we pulled that thing in, I still have the picture of me holding it. And holding it, I mean, I look terrified. I'm not smiling or nothing. I think I was in shock that we actually caught it. So hands down, that's my best moment. Wow. And I think if you were to ask the Seabolt squad who has the embarrassing story, I already can tell you Brantley will say that he does. One of our videos up on TikTok that has a lot of views is one of him setting the hook, and he gets real serious look on his face. He goes, "Oh, I got one." Takes one reel down and goes, "Dang it, I'm snagged." And he was so mad at me for posting that video up.
Oh yeah, he was.
But I said, "Hey," it happens. We all get tricked, And I mean the intensity that he says, "Oh, got one," and then you hear the "Dang it, I'm snagged." I mean, hands down, I think it's the cutest video in the world. But hands down, he would tell you that is the most embarrassing thing in the world.
I love that
out there for everybody.
No, that is good. You need, because every angler has no shortage of stories that are about epic fails. The hardest part about that question is narrowing it down to just one.
So true.
And it's absolutely wild. I think the more that he fishes, the more he'll understand it. If you're okay with it, I would love to reshare that on our Instagram, repost it. Yeah, that is awesome because it reminds me of. So when I was first learning how to fish with jigs, I did all the YouTube research I possibly could. And there is a content creator that I love. I love this guy's stuff. I absolutely love it. I've learned a lot from him. And he has a couple of jig fishing videos that I learned a ton from. And it's Bass Geek, Hank. Bass Geek is awesome. And in his first video, he has like a certain cadence with his voice. And especially earlier on, so he's talking about this, and he's like talking about dragging a jig, and he's talking about the difference between when you have a strike and when you're creeping up over a log or something. And he goes, oh, if you sit there in the wait, and if the line's not moving, and you don't feel a strike, it's a log. So. I have you can share this with Brantley. I recommend you do. So there was one time where I was fishing with my buddy. He's my go-to fishing partner, my buddy Paul, and we're out at a big reservoir that we have locally called Quabbin Reservoir. It's huge. It's I think the biggest body of water it is the biggest body of water in our state. It's huge. And they have really, really strict rules about boats. Like you've got to have your boat inspected and sealed. And it can only be in that body of water. After it goes into another body of water, you have to have it re-inspected and cleaned and everything. It's crazy. Or you, of course, can rent a boat from them. And they have to be like no more than 25 horsepower, the outboard. And for such a big body of water, that can be really hindering. So luckily you can launch from multiple places. But my buddy and I were in this one shallow cove with a bunch of lily pads, and I had flipped a jig or a big Texas rig into these pads, and I was just looking for that reaction bite, and I happened to it must have landed like right on a log, so I'm tap, and I thought I felt a bite, and I set that hook so hard on that tree stump or log that was under there that I broke my really, really nice Okuma Reflections rod.
No.
Yeah, just snapped it right in half. And I was like, are you kidding me? This was actually the beginning of a whole slew of just errors that had happened on that. Like we almost capsized this boat in April. And up here, you do that and it's see you later time. Like you'll barely survive that if you're lucky. It was a mess. But I'll never forget that. And that often actually overshadows the breaking of the rod. But I remember that I was like, oh, we got a bite. And I set that hook so hard and snapped that rod right in half. I still have the rod as like a memory. Like, don't be a moron. It's hanging up in my storage unit where I keep all my gear. It's crazy. I refuse to get rid of it. Yeah, it's bananas.
That's hilarious. Brantley, he recently just snapped his first one. Learned the importance of not letting a fish dangle before grabbing it. He bank split. It was probably about a 2 pound. It was solid.
Yep.
And he was sitting there looking at it, and he was letting it hang on this proficiency pole. And before I could say anything, that pole just snapped. So he decided we were going to give that pole a proper burial so nobody else could come and try to use it after him.
There you go. There you go. I love that. That is awesome, man. You got a good thing going, Jeremy. I hope you guys have a whole lot of success on the content side and working with more and more companies. And, good luck getting out there and doing some tournaments, man. Let's see if you can get a couple of checks.
That's it. We appreciate it. Like I said, we appreciate any chance we can to try to get, more parents out there showing their kids that, this isn't something just for somebody with $100,000 bass bait.
Yeah.
You can all get out there and be successful while you do it and make good memories.
100%. Yeah.
Always.
No, you're 100% right. I love it, man. Do me a favor and send me a pic of you or anybody from the squad, or even better, if you have everybody holding giants. Send me a pic so that we can use it for the artwork for this episode, because when it drops, we're going to include that on there as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I will get that emailed over to you.
That is fantastic. Appreciate it, Jeremy. This is really, really great, dude. Tell Brantley we said hello. I will send you an MP3 of this interview so that you can listen to it with him, because I can't promise the rest of the show is going to be family friendly.
Oh, hey, no, I appreciate it.
I'll let you make the call. I'll let you make the call if you want to let them listen to the whole thing. It could go anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, 2 to 4 hours. So there's a lot of show there.
We appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to really seeing all the other stuff you come out with too.
Oh, absolutely.
We had quite a journey through it, man. I just got to say I love what y'all are doing too. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I'm glad, man. That's awesome, dude. Well, you have a good one, man. We will be in touch, and tight lines. Get on them.
Hey, man, back at you. Thank you so much, brother. Have a good day.
All right, bud. Have a good one. Bye-bye. All right. We're back, guys. Amazing interview. Thank you, Jeremy, for being part of the show. We appreciate you. We think what you're doing is awesome. Fishing and family go hand in hand. And I feel like those two words also go hand in hand with Hookset Hoodlums, which why all this shit works so well. It just works so well. I do want to talk to you guys about. I had a conversation with Ellie this week that was interesting. And that actually is kind of putting it lightly. I was this is actually Friday while I was out fishing, and I'm walking along the bank and I'm catching some largemouth and having a good time. And here I am thinking I'm hot shit and I'm gonna be killing it. Camp Hookset. Couldn't have been more wrong. And then I had posted something earlier on my story, like earlier that morning, and Ellie had chimed in and she says, "Hey, has it ever crossed your mind that you and I look alike?" And I was like, we're both hot as fuck. I mean, yeah, obviously, come on, those two things, you just go together. But then she sent me this. I almost fell in the water laughing. I'm going to yeah, let's go ahead. We'll just do this. Boom. She used a bald filter. On TikTok and then drew on a fucking salt and pepper beard. And she's like, we kind of look alike if you think about it. I'm like, yep. And I think you found your new Halloween costume idea.
Wow.
Yeah. Strap a sack of potatoes around your waist and put on a flannel shirt or an Aftco Reaper hoodie, and you got it happening. That's what's going on. So yeah, for those of you jig heads, this is the kind of the jig heads are lucky they get to see this all the time. Jig heads, do you think do Ellie and I look alike? She's freaking crazy, dude. I love it.
Oh my
what do
God.
What do you guys think? Is she accurate in this statement, or
I couldn't tell which one was which at first.
I feel like we both have very strong, like French Canadian features.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
think
I'm
you guys have very strong drawn beards.
we do. Yeah, this is fake. It's AI. This is an AI beard.
That's it.
I started using a new app. It's called Beard GPT. It's fantastic. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. A great show this week, guys. Thanks to our jig heads for coming out. We've had a bunch of you popping in and out all night long. A couple of you guys are still there. Appreciate you. Remember, guys, Dark Horse Tackle has some good stuff going on. There's a sale on the BYOB boxes, and they're doing them in 3 different sort of tiers. One more leaning toward hard baits, one leaning more toward, jigs and soft plastics, and the one that kind of like rides that middle ground. Her face is a little thinner. I would hope so.
Wow.
I would hope so.
We went there, Zach, didn't we? We went there.
You did. You did. It's okay. I'm not hurt, Zach. It's okay. It's okay. No, she, where the hell was I? Where was I going with this? I was talking about Dark Horse Tackle. Thank you, Zach. Thank you.
He interrupted his own promo. Way to go, dude.
No, they've got these BYOB boxes that are on sale for the month. Go ahead and get your boxes now. You save quite a bit. They're $20. Go for it. I think I'm going to do exactly that. In fact, and maybe talk about some shockwaves, maybe. Also, you guys should know that there are gift cards available for Dark Horse Tackle. So again, if somebody says to you, like, hey man, what can I get you for your birthday or for Christmas or for, whatever, like, hey, oh, you did a great job, blah, 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 blah. Like, a Dark Horse Tackle gift card is fucking sweet. So go ahead and suggest them that way. It'll be nice. It'll be good. Do you guys have anything you want to add to this?
I do. I got one little quick, I don't even know what's a plug.
Fire
if you
away.
guys, anybody out there is going to the Big E, stop over at the Better Living building. The fine folks from Nor'easter are over there. Check out their new shit. They're friends of the show. They've sponsored our tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
We thank them very much for that. Stop in, tell them Jigs and Bigs sent you. They'll love to hear that. And maybe next year they'll be like, well, look, we had fucking a grand total of 3 people stop in at the Big E. And they said they were from Jigs and Bigs. 3 people. And maybe they'll get back with us. You never know.
You never know.
That's all.
You never know. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Our listeners are amazing. We are on the precipice of crossing a huge accomplishment for this show. It's probably going to happen in the next 7 days. If you're listening to this show, it's probably going to happen in the next 7 days. I hope it does. But if it takes another 2 or 3, we're so close. And I'm amazed at the outpour of support from all of you guys, and it's fantastic. So, got some good stuff coming up, guys. We have an amazing season. We've got live shows that are coming up, and I'm currently booking some travel stuff for 2024. I want to get out there and fish. So, especially if you're in the Midwest, I want to get out there and experience different bodies of water. I want to get out there and catch 2 dozen bluegill. That's what I just want to do all over the country. 2 dozen.
Can I get out there and catch 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen bluegill?
I think you already checked that box, man.
I did.
Yep.
Yeesh. Good Lord. All right, guys. Anyway, have yourselves a great one. I'm going to go and do some jiggling. We'll see you in a little bit. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, rest of your week, whatever it is. Don't forget to tag us in your fishing pics. I love it when you guys do, and it's awesome. We got great stuff coming up for you guys. We will see you in 7 days with more Jigs and Bigs goodness. Don't you forget, like we always say,
Tits and ass, smoke some grass. Titties.
Sick.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.